For the first time this preseason, Russell Wilson and the Seahawks hit the road as they visit the Kansas City Chiefs with a weapon that they haven't had in quite some time. A big pass-catching tight end is Jimmy Graham, expected to get quite a bit of playing time tonight, as are most of the starters, as the Seattle Seahawks visit the Kansas City Chiefs. Well, as we get ready for kickoff, a lot of faces will be different on the offensive line for the Seattle Seahawks team tonight. Kurt Menefee along with Brock Hewitt. And Brock, you know, the starters are expected to play maybe as much as the entire first half, but the way that offensive line looked last week, they probably need it.
7 sacks, 180 yards, and just the inability to really get into rhythm offensively. And it will be important tonight to get that communication going. That's why Russell is going to play with this offensive line upwards of a half tonight. They want to get all 5 of those guys on the same page. You're going to see Gary Gilliam out at right tackle. Justin Britt's going to get a start at left guard tonight. They would love to see this group gel together. And the good thing for Gilliam is this is going to be a regular season environment. These fans here at Arrowhead are awfully loud, and communication will be extra critical for that group tonight.
Well, we're going to see a lot of different faces on the offensive line. We will in the defensive backfield too, but that's because a lot of guys are out of action. 11 DBs not even playing in the game tonight.
I've never seen this, and we've done this together now for 3 years, and in talking to some of the coaches on the field on both sides, they've not seen a position group as ravaged as injuries as this secondary is. So much so, Kurt, you're going to see Deshaun Shedd get the start tonight at corner, not at strong or free. He's going to slide out at 6'3" and 220 pounds, play corner. What that means is a lot of zone coverage. You're not going to see a lot of man-to-man. You're going to see a lot of youth and inexperience, and a pretty streamlined game call by the defensive coordinator, Chris Richard, tonight.
So what can the coaches expect from their teams?
Darrell Bevell wants to get that rhythm going, as we talked about earlier. He would love to see some of the run get going. I think you're going to play to your people's strengths, really on both sides of it, and get that tempo with quarterback, with his line, with the receivers, really in a regular season mode. And on the flip side, Richard did it a week ago, kept it incredibly simple, about as vanilla as it gets. When you've got youth and inexperience, you don't want them thinking. You want to see them pull the trigger, and he's got a lot to deal with on the back end of his defense tonight.
Well, the coaches want to see what their young troops can do on both sides of the football. One thing we expect to see, the old veteran at quarterback with his new veteran at tight end, Jimmy Graham and Russell Wilson. How many times can they hook up tonight? The intrigue will commence right after this from Kansas City. Russell Wilson and company getting ready to do their thing on the road for the first time this preseason. This is one of the best atmospheres, even though it's preseason, but in all of NFL football. Just really, you get that classic old school feeling whenever you're here.
You got a perfect night tonight in mid-August in Kansas City. It can be awfully steamy. Not the case tonight. Just a perfect temperature, about 80 degrees, very low humidity. And this stadium's had some history for these Seahawks. Aaron Levine referenced it in the pregame show. It was 3 years ago that Russell Wilson won this job. In some ways, changed the franchise. You knew you had your quarterback of the future. And last year, it was a loss here that put you at 6-4 and helped you turn the season around and really look within that locker room and know that you had to add some pieces. And we saw Tyler Lockett a week ago really come on the scene. He's going to get his opportunity in front of a lot of family and friends and loved ones tonight. Played his college ball just down the road. You got to imagine he's thrilled to be back in very comfortable territory.
Yeah, Kansas City won the toss, but deferred, so the Seahawks will receive. And there you see the numbers last week for Tyler Lockett. Talk about an impressive debut. Again, it's preseason, but he has been as electric as they expected him to be when they drafted him in the third round.
But Kurt, it was preseason when Russell Wilson played in the third dress rehearsal and really made the decision for the staff. Ultimately, that's what a lot of these coaches want. That's what tonight and next week and the final preseason game are about. You make the decision for us. Don't count numbers. Don't look around that room. Go out and ball and be a difference maker like Tyler was, like Ty Smith was, like Frank Clark was, like Deion Bailey's going to get a chance again tonight to start in place of Cam Chancellor. You make your impression in the preseason.
You talked about Lockett and his family and friends. You know, his dad played here for the Kansas City Chiefs, one of 4 teams his father Kevin played for in the National Football League in 7 years. And there are a lot of people wearing Lockett jerseys in a certain section of the stadium, as he has lots of family that came to see him play in the NFL. And so he will get to show off from the beginning as we kick off week number 2 of the preseason. Here's Lockett on the run out of the end zone. And you got to think that word got out because they didn't let him get far out to the 15-yard line. 18 yards on the return. And so this is where Russell Wilson will start. Limited action last week, just a couple of series under duress for most of it. And tonight expected, along with the rest of the offensive starters, to play about an entire first half.
And it's loud in here. It's not cranked up like CenturyLink Field was a week ago when it was sold out. But watch the communication up front. I expect an early dose of the run game.
This shuffled offensive line, we'll talk about it throughout the night. Here's Robert Turbin starting at tailback and gets the carry out to the 20-yard line. This offensive line, 3 guys are in spots that a week ago they weren't in.
Welcome to Tom Cable's world and what he loves to do with interchangeable pieces and play to all of their strengths. He looks for grit, he looks for toughness, and he looks for putting guys in the right spot. In the backfield, Turbin's going to get the start again. No Marshawn Lynch, no reason to see beast mode, but you will see a little bit of Jimmy Graham sprinkled into the mix.
On second down, Turbin again. Caught in the backfield. Going to lose a couple of yards on that play.
Turbin, the ball carrier.
Brought down by Alan Bailey. And, you know, this is a pretty good defense that the Kansas City Chiefs put up out there. They get Mike DeVito back, who tore his Achilles in the opener last year. Same thing with their linebacker, Derek Johnson, tore his Achilles in the opener. Both those guys are back, and both those guys, along with Tom Bahali and Justin Houston, are part of a pass rush that is as good as anybody in the NFL. Needing the 26. Wilson from the shotgun under pressure, zips that one out, incomplete. Intended for Doug Baldwin, but Philip Gaines swatted it away.
Little man-to-man coverage on third down. You think that maybe the big guy is going to get a look there in Jimmy Graham. He was inside on a triple slant. Instead, he cleared it out, but a better play by Gaines to get his hand in and knock the ball away.
So it'll be 3 and out for the Seahawks to start things off. John Ryan in to punt. Frankie Hammond Jr. back deep for the Chiefs. Good booming kick by Ryan. Hammond muffs the football. Eventually scoops it up and nowhere to run, but finds a way to fight his way out for a couple of yards. That had disaster written all over it for the Chiefs, but worked out in their favor after a 64-yard punt by Ryan.
Pretty incredible, and he is such a weapon. Doesn't get talked about nearly as much as the Legion of Boom and all the All-Pros and Pro Bowlers and 8 of the top 100 players in the NFL, but John Ryan is a weapon in the kicking game.
And there's the Chiefs quarterback, Alex Smith, taking the field.
11th year already to match that jersey number. It's pretty remarkable. He's got 11 in. Chase Daniel, the backup's already 7 years in, and efficiency. Take care of the football. Play to the strengths of your football team. Alex does it really well. Big reason why he's still a starter in this league, 11 years in.
We'll start this one from the 23-yard line. Under pressure going deep, looking for Wilson, overthrown, and there's Deshaun Shedd there to get a hand on it. There's a flag in the backfield. Michael Bennett called for roughing the passer.
Andy Reid calling the plays for the Chiefs. Wants to come out and set the mindset and the aggressiveness right away with the deep play action shot. And anytime you get to that headgear of that quarterback, really any player in this league, doesn't matter. We saw it a week ago with the critical penalty with Doug McNeil getting up to the head, and Michael Bennett makes contact above the shoulder pads. It's going to draw the 15.
15-yard penalty puts him out to the 38-yard line. Off the play fake again. Smith pressured. Wrapped up this time and brought down for the sack. Brandon Mebane, the first guy there for the Seahawks.
Oh, here comes the roll.
Big men love that.
They sure do.
Make it work for you, whatever you got, man.
He got after an offensive line that for Kansas City, if Seattle's got some moving pieces, lots of injuries, a couple starters out with injury, including Eric Fisher on that left side, a rookie in the middle, and Mitch Morse. That's an area of concern coming into the season for the Chiefs. Very deep stable of running backs. Kelsey, one of the best tight ends in the game.
He's lined up on the right side of that offensive line right now is Kelsey. First carry of the game, Nile Davis. Runs right into the arms of K.J. Wright.
Miles Davis, the ball carrier.
Looking at the Seahawks defensively, you'll see a lot more familiar names, particularly up front. Atama Rubin, though, gets the start at defensive tackle this week, and the coaches have raved about the job that he has done coming over as a free agent pickup from the Cleveland Browns.
Really, really stout in the middle of that defensive line. Can maybe even free up Ebain to do what he did on that sack and get some of that penetration. And there's some of the new faces. Chris Richard called it the Legion of in due time, giving plenty of guys other opportunities this evening.
And we talked about it at the start. 11 guys who are defensive backs for the Seahawks not even playing tonight. Whistles and flags before the ball was snapped.
Should be a false start.
False start. Offense. Number 12. 5-yard penalty. Remains third down.
It's on the wide receiver, Albert Wilson. And Alex Kemp is our referee tonight. And he's a guy who's normally a side judge, getting a chance to audition and show what he can do as a ref tonight. So
what's that mean, Kurt?
Well,
what are you saying?
I'm just saying every penalty that is deservedly called or should be called, will probably be called in this game. He's been graded. Smith going up top. Along the sideline, that pass broken up by Deshaun Shedd, intended for Jeremy Maclin, and that was a good job after he got beat to recover by Shedd.
It sure was, and a nice job of Ty Smith underneath to set some of that 3-deep zone coverage. And watch the rookie, watch him continue to get underneath that comeback. Deshaun Shedd reads it as well. You know, on third and extra long, they're going to try to throw it to the sticks. Deshaun Shedd, the awareness, can play some safety, he can play some corner, and what that tells you right there is he knows the down and distance as well as he breaks on the comeback.
Dustin Colquitt on the punt. Tyler Lockett starts at the 17. Through a hole.
Smooth.
13 yards on the return, and that's something the Seahawks just didn't have at all last year. The ability to get good field position after forcing a punt. They've got it here as we are early on in this second preseason game. For others in that defensive backfield.
It sure does. 11 guys when you count Cam Chancellor out. And I think important to know these are not major injuries. The majority of those guys, lots of them, got a good warm-up in. The guys with the yellow pullovers, Richard Sherman, Will Blackman, got plenty of work in. They came out in their uniforms. If this was a regular season must game, both of those guys would be playing. But instead, you want to see what some of the inexperience looks like. And Richard Sherman's been a really good teacher. I love the saying that Seattle has, each one teach one. And Sherman's been excellent with the Ty Smith and the youngsters. And Pete Carroll's going to see some guys coming right off the streets. You're going to see Keelan Johnson, Jeremy Creighton, a couple of young corners. There's Creighton, number 8. You will see both those guys play in the second half simply because they don't have any real numbers and depth in the secondary.
31-yard line.
That's part of what you get in the preseason. Young guys getting a chance to show what they can do. Can they take advantage of the opportunity? That is the question as the Seahawks take it over for the second time from the 30. Russell Wilson thrust out of the pocket and just gets rid of that football. Wise decision there.
Wilson's pass.
And that was a little better protection from the offensive line. You know, that's a hurry, that's a throwaway. But that was a quick set. They were looking to try to get the ball to Jimmy Graham, and unfortunately on the quick set, Kansas City all over it, and Russell does a smart thing. Avoid the sack, avoid the negative play. That is a serviceable job by the guys up front.
Russell Okung at left tackle and J.R. Sweezy at right guard. The only two guys who are in the same starting position they were a week ago. From the shotgun, quick pass, Doug Baldwin. Dancing outside, not going to get far, forced out of bounds. After a short pickup of just a couple of yards, Jamel Fleming forces him out.
A little quick screen that we see a lot from Seattle with as much focus it can be on beast mode, that inside zone run. Seattle loves to get the ball outside on the perimeter. That time into the short side of the field. Fast flow from Kansas City, shutting it down, and another third and long passing situation.
Officially needing the 41-yard line for the first down. Wilson steps up. Jermaine Kearse can't hold it in inbounds, so it's incomplete. And another 3 and out for the Seahawks.
Intended for Jermaine Kearse.
Very similar route that we saw in the third down by Kansas City, that deep outbreak, and it takes some time. And Gary Gilliam was really focused on anchoring tonight. Third and obvious pass situation, and he does a nice job there of setting. That's going to be the one focal point for him, is just that brute strength right at the point of contact. He handles some of that rush, gives Wilson the opportunity. They just can't connect, not quite sharp enough in the timing on that third down.
John Ryan's first punt was 64 yards. He booms another one to Frankie Hammond, who holds on to it this time, but then runs into his own guy. Brought down just across the 20-yard line. Kevin Pierre-Louis in on the stop, but another good punt from Ryan. 55 yards on that one.
For blocking the NFL's best sacker in Houston, who had 22 sacks a season ago. He gets an inside rush from Justin, and that's just enough. Is it textbook? Is it absolutely perfect? No, but there's some of the movement and the athleticism that Gary has. And with Russell Wilson and these receivers, just give him an opportunity to get the ball out of the hands. You just don't want free runners in his face. And Kearse trying to focus on keeping the feed in. I don't think he can even keep the feed in as that ball sailed just a little wide.
You're talking about all the shifts at the offensive line. I think right now the Seahawks feel they've got their 5 best guys. They may not have been in positions they're used to playing in, but they're the 5 most athletic guys on the offensive line, and hopefully they can get it together here as the preseason moves forward.
And this will be valuable for Drew Nowak, the center, as well. We hardly talked about him. Started 4 centers to the Seahawks a year ago, and he's going to get this first half to communicate, to make the calls, to get everybody in the right place. And at least first series out, couple opportunities in passing situations for Russell to make connections. Passing game just couldn't get it done.
Chiefs take over. Niall Davis plows into the line of scrimmage.
Niall Davis.
Give him about 2 yards on the play. KJ Wright on the stop. KJ Wright, one of those versatile players on the Seahawks defense, can play all those linebacker positions. And you talked about this offseason, locking up Bobby Wagner and locking up Russell Wilson, but it really kind of started last year with KJ Wright being signed at the end of the regular season.
Yeah, December. It started in December with both Cliff Averill and KJ Wright. So many of those young core players locked up for years to come.
Under pressure, Smith gets Jamal Charles. And Charles out to the 35-yard line. First down for the Chiefs, 10 yards on the reception.
I didn't realize, Kurt, you knew this because you got a memory like that. I didn't realize the best all time in the history of the NFL when he runs the ball. Over 5 yards a carry, and such a versatile weapon as well in the pass game. Very adept, getting underneath and showing some of the speed and quickness to move the sticks.
Averages 5.5 yards a carry, best all time in the history of the National Football League. And we talked about it, just as much a weapon out of the backfield as a receiver. Here's Niall Davis getting the carry. Davis hit hard, knocked backwards after a short pickup. 2 yards on the play. Ataba Rubin with the stop.
Well, what you're seeing here, a week ago, you remember Denver really running at ease, and it will against some of the backup defensive line. Look how stout the group is in the middle. Look at Ataba Rubin reestablish the line of scrimmage and just really
Second down at 8 from the 37-yard
create
line.
some massive humanity between those tackles. That's what Rubin brings to the table. That's what Mebane, when you get that girth in the middle that wins and reestablishes the line, that allows those linebackers and their speed and versatility to finish.
Davis caught in the backfield. KJ Wright made the tackle, but that was really a play made by the pressure up front that never allowed Davis to get going. The penetration stopped him early. Loss of 6.
That looked like DeMarcus Dobbs as well. Right there in the interior of that defensive line. Cliff Averill showing you he's more than just a pass rusher and a one-dimensional pass rusher. He locks those arms out. So critical to get your hands and win first. Justin Britt a week ago in his sack against Von Miller. What did Von do? Got the hands into his chest. He won first. And that time, that defensive line, the fast pursuit of the linebackers, winning right off the snap.
They lose 6. 3rd and long. Smith pressure. That ball tipped, caught though. Jamal Charles. Nowhere to go. Michael Bennett stops him short of the first down.
Jamal Charles.
Frank Clark making his presence felt, getting his hand on that football.
Yeah, we didn't know if Frank was going to go. Missed the last couple days of practice. Real iffy, 50-50 were what we were told yesterday. Nice to see him get a little bit of run. Those are two good defensive series. And you could see some of the energy there coming off the sidelines. Back-to-back possessions for the Chiefs, back-to-back punts, and Lockett getting a shot again.
Seeing a couple of nice returns from him already. Dustin Cole quit with the boot. Lockett going to let that one sail. And it goes into the end zone for a touchback. Good decision by Lockett. 66 yards on that punt. Are we in Denver or something? All these punts are going crazy. Nice tip by the rookie Frank Clark as the Seahawks defense comes through yet again. No score so far here in this second week of the preseason. Seahawks and the Chiefs from Kansas City. About midway through this first quarter, third time that Russell Wilson and the Seahawks have touched the ball on offense.
A week ago, you had mentioned how good Denver was defensively. Everybody talks about Peyton and the offense. That's a good defensive group from Denver. Well, this is the second best scoring defense in the league last year, Kansas City. The Chiefs can play a little bit of defense as well. And you look at their roster, kind of like Seattle, there just is not a glaring weakness anywhere. Pretty good depth across the board. They're going to need some of their young draft picks. Marcus Peters in particular is going to start the season with the Sean Smith suspension. But this is a good crew. A year ago, they beat New England in this building. A year ago, they beat Seattle in this building. Got the capability to do, I think, some special things. No reason that this Kansas City team can't win 10 games or more this season.
Yeah, the third year under Andy Reid, won 11 in his first season, 9 last year. After the touchback from the 20. Derek Coleman, his first action of the preseason. Nowhere really on that one. Short 2-yard reception.
Lots of competition and battles in many spots. Offensive line, secondary receiver. That fullback is a sneaky little competition between Derek and Tukuafu, both of whom also contribute in the special teams game. It's probably a little more of an area of strength for Derek because of some of his speed and versatility, but Tukuafu is pushing him. My hunch is that is going to be a decision made at the very end of this preseason as those two are really going at it.
Don't forget the rookie Brandon Cottom as well in the mix. Here's Turbin, lowers his head. Short gain on the play again. Of course, we see a lot of Robert Turbin as expected. Marshawn Lynch not starting tonight in the preseason. Turbin will go, and then we should see Kristen Michael. And then, last week we got an opportunity to see some of the young guys in Thomas Rawls and Rob Smith.
And you will again tonight. There's going to be very little touches for Marshawn Lynch. I will say this. I don't know if I've seen him practice harder in the preseason. Darrell Bevel saying a week ago, in fact, in one practice, he had more reps than any other offensive player. He's ready to go. You still need to see it in the preseason.
From the shotgun on 3rd and long. Here's the pressure. Wilson gets it off quickly. Ball caught. Lockett out across the 30-yard line. And for the first time tonight, the Seahawks have a first down. 9 yards on the reception.
Anticipation, the key word really for Russell to focus on this preseason. You see him look with his eyes. See that? You see that initial off the snap. He knows where he's going, and he's got Justin Houston out there in zone coverage. Drop it. He looks away from him, creates a space, ball out of his hands before Lockett turns around. That's the kind of execution you need on 3rd down.
Tyler Lockett with the catch right in front of the former Washington Husky, Marcus Peters. On 1st down for Wilson. Flush out of the pocket. Shows that scrambling ability and the ability to get out of bounds at the right time. He's as good as anybody in the league at that. Ramik Wilson giving chase.
He's the best in the league at that. He just has such a feel, and you're going to see this is, again, a want of a quick passing game. That's why you see Russell Okung try to cut down D Ford on the outside. But Russell can sense that. He can spin out, and then he does what RG3 can't do. And that's avoid any hits and avoid the contact. That's been a skill from day one from Russell.
And it's part of the reason you think that maybe the Seahawks feel they can take some chances with their offensive line and find the right combination.
Absolutely.
Quick pass out to Doug Baldwin. Escapes a tackle and picks up a big gain into Kansas City territory. Finally knocked out at the 46-yard line of KC.
Get the ball out of your hands. A lot of quick passing games so far. Probably no surprise with some new pieces up front. You want to get the ball out, and that's the key. When you throw it underneath, the ability to make that first man miss, and Doug very capable of that. He's a good punt returner himself, and when he's in space, He knows he beats that first defender. He's got a chance to make one of those explosive plays, and nobody does better than the Seahawks. Running pass a year ago, #1 in all the NFL of explosive plays because of situations like that.
Picks up 20 yards on that play. So back-to-back first downs for the Seahawks. Russell Wilson, little screen play. Baldwin nowhere to go on that one. Makes the catch and immediately wrapped up by Spencer Ware. Maybe he picked up a yard.
Well, that was really good pursuit. Took a little bit of time when you sneak that receiver underneath the play pass. They call that the sneak concept. And you'll see Doug come in motion. He comes back. You've got to get through completely clean. Just a little bit of traffic behind Jamel Fleming, seeing the whole play right in front of him. The fourth-year player out of Oklahoma. Well, that time he makes the sure tackle. Bevel, a good little mix here. Good little mix of run and pass. Get the ball out of his hands. So often you hear about the quarterback getting rhythm, getting the ball out. Well, it helps an offensive line as well.
Jimmy Graham in motion. The handoff taken by Robert Turbin. Dancing, but nowhere to go. Bottled up at the line of scrimmage. Derek Johnson in there on the tackle.
Trying to get some of that interior push, that interior zone run game the Seahawks are so good at. Part of the reason because they love the zone read out of that. You're not going to see an immense amount of that in the preseason. You're not going to see Russell exposed and carry the ball. It's a little tougher duty when those guys inside, that zone run's coming. And the man look from the Chiefs.
Wilson changing the play at the line of scrimmage. Now back in the shotgun. Flags down before the ball was snapped.
It's going to be Russell Okung.
Ball start. Offense. Number 76. 5-yard penalty. Remains third down.
That certainly won't help. Russell, one of the guys who's been this pillar of stability for this offensive line.
He's their best pass protector. There's no debate about that. He's had a really good training camp, but that's the one phase of the game you got to try to eliminate. And a challenge for this team over the years, especially last year with some of those false starts. 3rd and 14, very different than 3rd and 9. You saw a man look. Now you're going to see probably a soft zone from Kansas City.
Seahawks leading the 36, so a long way to go. Wilson, that pass broken up. Marcus Peters, rookie, first-round pick. Former Washington Husky, swats it down. Does that make you happy as a former Washington Husky or sad as a Seahawk?
Well, he's going to have to grow up really fast, and nice job. There was no doubt about or question about his talent. Maybe gets the arm out there just a little bit early, but I don't think it impacts or affects the route. That's why there's a no call there. They're going to need him the first 3 weeks of this season, that being Peters.
John Ryan to Frankie Hammond Jr. inside the 10.
Frankie Hammond Jr. on the return.
And I'm an unbiased professional, okay? I don't need questions like that, Menifee.
Just trying to find out where your allegiance is right now. Chris Richard, new defensive coordinator for the Seahawks. First-year defensive coordinator for the Seahawks, we should say.
Pretty impressive last night.
Oh, absolutely. Sat down in the meeting with us, talked about his defense, what he hopes to achieve, specific players, but really an impressive guy to sit down and talk to.
And he knows the importance of these guys up front with some of the inexperience in the secondary. Maybe not necessarily with the ones. Kerry Williams played a lot of ball, but nice to see Brandon Mebane, who's had an excellent camp. He's been forceful here in this first quarter. Ruben being stout in the middle. Averill, Bennett, Frank Clark, Bruce Irvin, getting back to that rotation that Dan Quinn had taken advantage of in that Super Bowl year and winning that Super Bowl championship last year because of injuries, depleted that rotation a little bit, but Mebane had a very, very solid August. A really good night thus far.
The Seahawk defense has played well thus far tonight. Chiefs starting at the 17 on their third possession. Alex Smith kind of lost that one out there, and it is caught. Jeremy Maclin, former Philadelphia Eagle, pickup of 9.
10 times more touchdowns than the Kansas City Chiefs had at receiving position all year last year. Yeah, I think that ball either got tipped or slipped out of Alex's hand. Just simple 3 deep, little hitch out underneath the coverage, keep everything in front of you. But 10 touchdowns a season ago for Maclin, 0 out of that wide receiver crew for the Chiefs. It's just still hard to look at statistically to go an entire season and get 0 productivity outside. They like having Maclin in the fold.
End around to Maclin. Picks up the first down and more. Tripped up after he crossed the 30-yard line. Deion Bailey with the stop, but a nice play there by Macklin and the Chiefs. They gained 7 more.
Pretty good job there by Cliff Averill. Typically those end arounds, Urban a little bit slow to get up. Nice to see him. A little bit of a collision there. But typically on those reverses end arounds, you see a loss of containment. That wasn't the case. Averill turned that play back in. But Macklin showing off what he did here in the state of Missouri so well as a kick returner, punt returner collegiately. And the Chiefs get some mix in him, some explosive big plays out of him on the perimeter with Jamal Charles. You start to get that 1-2 punch. It makes it difficult for defenses to defend.
Smith, screen pass. Charles wrapped up immediately. K.J. Wright. What a game he has had tonight.
What a tremendous play from K.J. Wright. The more you play 5 seasons in, you should be able to read and react and diagnose. Look at K.J. Watch these offensive linemen. Look at the eyes into the backfield, and he sees it immediately. And then he pulls the trigger. That is teaching tape for these young linebackers. Right, he is so aware of what's going on around him, that key, that read on the offensive line. The minute he sees them pull out with that running back, he reads screen, and that's not an easy man to chase down for a negative play. That's as good as it gets from the linebacker position.
Well, he has been all over the field tonight so far. That's right. That's the end of the first quarter. There's a flag down. Did the flag go before the quarter ended?
5-yard penalty. Second down. Please reset the game clock to 1 second. Thank you.
So the flag obviously did come before the end of the quarter. Second penalty of the night for Kansas City, and we'll see if they get one more snap before the end of the first quarter. They don't. First quarter's in the books here in the second preseason game. Both defenses looking good thus far. Alex Smith and the Chiefs, no points. Russell Wilson and the Seahawks, no points. Scoreless first quarter here in Kansas City, Seahawks and Chiefs, and both defenses look good tonight, but this Seattle defense led by Bobby Wagner has been good for a couple of years now.
Such a factor when these guys play together, they gel together, they trust where everybody is, and then Dave Wyman will tell you there's not a faster middle linebacker than Bobby Wagner in the league. Luke Kuechly and he are on the same stage. They're the 2 All-Pros. But Bobby is so dynamic in every phase of the game. You pair him up with K.J. Wright. That is a dangerous linebacking crew, one that can chase it sideline to sideline, and Bobby will come up and stick you as well.
And to talk about the respect that Wagner has around the league, I mean, here's a guy who missed 5 games last year, still made the Pro Bowl, still was voted All-Pro by the other players in the National Football League and the media. And, you know, Ron Rivera, who's the coach of the Carolina Panthers, coaches Luke Kuechly, says that Wagner and Kuechly, not only the best 2 middle linebackers in football, the best 2 linebackers in football, and the prototype for the way the position will be played for years to come.
Can't teach speed, and both of them have an awful lot of that. This game has changed. There's a lot more spread. There's a lot more tempo. There's a lot more no huddle, and being able to run so critical at every position defensively.
Start of the second quarter. Niall Davis tries to cut it back. Upended by Deion Bailey. Falls over the 30-yard line, but there are penalty markers on the play as well.
Deion Bailey is going to come in and cut you in half. We have seen that now for back-to-back weeks.
Personal foul, face mask. Defense, number 23. 15-yard penalty, automatic first down.
Stephen Terrell called for the penalty.
And he was out in the slot getting blocked, trying to keep that play and keep containment so the Wagners of the world and Baileys could come in and finish. Terrell obviously taking the place of Earl Thomas. Deion Bailey taking the place of Cam Chancellor. You'll see him right on the outside. It's right, the big there. Offensive lineman. That's right, getting his hands up into the face mask of Ben Grubbs there. That's an obvious call. That's a big man. That's a 310-pound man kicking up about 100 pounds.
Maybe he was just hanging on.
That's right.
Trying not to get knocked over. After the penalty, first down. Alex Smith in the direction of Niall Davis. Incomplete. Credit Michael Bennett for bringing the heat and kind of forcing him to get rid of that football when he didn't want to.
And you want to talk about speed. Wagner, K.J. Wright, Kevin Pierre-Louis, Bruce Irvin, they get on the line and they can run. It's going to be real close between Wagner and Pierre-Louis. He can flat fly. Missed last week with a little bit of that shoulder sprain. He is back, and Alex Smith and these quarterbacks are going to watch that tape and say, you know what, the next time it's covered like that, I better not put any air on it. because these linebackers, even the youth, could really go.
Here's Smith again to the air. Zips that one. Nice catch. Bobby Wagner and K.J. Wright were draped all over Jason Avant, but Avant went up and got it.
Wonderful catch, and that's a really good throw from Alex Smith as well. He is an excellent passer in this intermediate and short game, and you could see his level of anticipation, and there was one tiny window to get that over the fingernails of Bobby Wagner there, knowing Avant's going to get hit as well from the other side. That shows you the precision necessary against these linebackers in this secondary, that you have got to have the accuracy, the anticipation to beat it. That's well done by Alex.
Chiefs get 9 yards, so it's 3rd and 1. Niall Davis. Can he get outside? Yes, he does. Gets the first down. Still in bounds. Deion Bailey with another big hit, but only after the Chiefs pick up another first down.
Pretty good inside push here from the Seahawks. It looked like they had a chance to knock this one out in the backfield. But unfortunately, just enough. Kelsey gets just enough of K.J. Wright. Terrell as well held up. The Chiefs move the sticks, put it in Seattle territory.
12-yard gain. Deepest penetration for the Chiefs so far tonight. And the Seahawks will call a timeout with 13-12 left to go here in the first quarter.
Yeah, it looked like Davis may have stepped out just a little bit earlier. I think that's why Pete threw the challenge flag out there.
Stepped out of bounds before he made the first down. Timeout.
Okay, so Seattle's challenge, it was the challenge flag, not a penalty flag, or not a timeout. So we'll see. 13-12 left to go here in the first half. All right, on the challenge here, the Seahawks are probably going to hold on to this timeout because it looks like they're going to win the challenge as to whether or not Niall Davis stepped out of bounds.
Yeah, he's going to get the first down, but this ball should go back to about the 39.5, 40-yard line, about 7 yards of real estate. Clearly gets outside of that containment, gets the first down, but there is no separation whatsoever there of any green grass at all. That should go back to just inside the 40-yard line, about 7.5 yards.
Yeah, so it should be good enough for the first down, but as you say, put him back about 6 yards or so.
This is a good backfield. The folks with the Chiefs, they like the depth they have at this position. Really feel like Niall Davis is a very capable backup to Jamal Charles. For Grandrick West, the third stringer, made the team a year ago as an undrafted rookie free agent from UAB. You're going to see him. He runs really hard.
This Chiefs team won with high expectations this year. They're looking at the division in the AFC West, thinking they've got a shot at winning the division. Here's the call.
After review, the ball carrier stepped out of bounds at the 40-yard line. It'll be first down, 10 yards to go at the 40-yard line. Please put 13:45 on the game clock. Seattle is not charged with a timeout.
So the Seahawks win the challenge, keep their timeout, and back up the Chiefs about 6 yards.
Well, 5 minutes of real time here for Andy Reid, who's been invigorated, loves calling these plays, a lot like Mike Holmgren used to do. Andy, a disciple of Mike, came to Kansas City and said, I want to take over these play calling duties again. He's got a lot of weapons. He's also got a situation here of an area of the field that some of those savvy coordinators love to take their shots down the field.
Or we will see. First down from the Seahawk 40. Smith looking over the middle, caught Travis Kelsey, and the tight end, who was their leading receiver last year, with a big gain, Steven Terrell on the stop. He finally chased him down after a pickup of 23 yards.
And two things stand out. One of the first times that Alex Smith has had some real space around him in the pocket. We've seen tip passes, we've seen his arm hit, but this time very little pocket pressure. He's able to step into that throw, and that's Kevin Pierre-Louis on one of the better tight ends in the game. And what a great catch from Kelsey, showing you that ability as a big man to get the extension. Quarterbacks love that. That margin of error to the leading receiver for the Chiefs.
First down from the 17. Niall Davis. Caught. You talk about speed. There you saw it. Bruce Irvin penetrated forced him to go outside, and Kevin Pierre-Louis was right there to wrap him up for a loss of 3.
Yeah, Pete has said that Kevin Pierre-Louis has done enough. We talked in the open about you make the decisions for the coaches, that if this were the regular season, he would be rotating in regularly. He's had that good a camp, and you just can't teach that element of it. When you can close and you can finish, you can play in Pete Carroll and Chris Richard's defensive scheme.
The 4th time the Seahawks defense has dropped Kansas City for a loss on offense already in this ball game. Smith out of the backfield. Davis. Kevin Pierre-Louis, he escapes. Pierre-Louis there to stop him for a second time along with Michael Bennett. Give him 5 yards.
One of the reasons Cassius Marsh, Frank Clark are so active, as we saw a week ago, and you're going to see them later in this game, is because they learned from one of the best at that. Michael Bennett is a relentless defensive player. Everybody credits how he can play inside and play outside and play nickel pass rush. But the one thing he doesn't get near enough credit for, I think nationally, is his pursuit. His willingness to consistently and constantly chase down the play as he did there.
On 3rd down, Smith looking. Macklin caught it. Down to the 5.
It's a little stat concept there from the Chiefs. And they get Deion Bailey and Kerry Williams, a couple guys into a 2-on-2 situation there, and you just see a little bit of hesitation. And after that completion, you'll see Kerry and Deion go talk to each other. That's why you go in motion, those stack alignments. You just kind of change some of those angles, some of those sight lines, and make those two be on the same page. That being Kerry and Deion, that time they can't. Once again, an excellent throw by Alex Smith.
1st and goal, Kansas City from the 5. Smith with time over the middle. Ball falls incomplete, intended for Macklin. Hit him in the chest. Bobby Wagner shook it loose.
3 Seahawks converge in this red zone, and that's where you love having that team speed all over the place. Stephen Terrell as well. He closes in. You see how tight those windows are and why a veteran with the experience that Alex has is so critical throwing against these number 1s. A nice job of Terrell there being a little Earl Thomas. Bobby, you know what he can do.
Yeah.
But Terrell with, I think, that force as well during the ball loose.
Yeah, that was Terrell who actually separated him from the football. It'll be 2nd and goal. Smith scrambling. He does this well. He doesn't get in the end zone. Kerry Williams forces him out of bounds, but for a big guy or a guy his size, he's actually very athletic.
Oh, he's a really good athlete, and that's why he was the number 1 pick in the draft, because they felt like 11 years ago he could be one of those dual threat movement quarterbacks, not his own read guy, but he's very capable of doing this. The eyes are up the field. You're just simply not going to outrun this crew sideline to sideline. If running backs can't, quarterbacks certainly are not going to be capable of it.
Drafted number 1 overall out of Utah by the San Francisco 49ers. And that was the draft where everybody just watched Aaron Rodgers just sit there and sit there and sit there. I think it worked out well for him and Green Bay. Chiefs call a timeout here on 3rd and goal from the 3-yard line in a scoreless ball game thus far.
Each one, we saw that 3rd down play and Kerry and Deion trying to get on the same page during this entire timeout. They're still having a conversation, a healthy conversation. That's what that room does. When Richard Sherman is the leader in that room, you are going to get on the same page. Good to see 2 guys, a veteran like Williams, still a youngster like Bailey, communicate.
3rd and goal from the 3. First real scoring opportunity for either squad so far tonight. Alex Smith. Caught. Touchdown, Jeremy Macklin. Macklin started in the backfield. Came out on a little route right into the end zone for the touchdown.
Yeah, and then you put Jeremy Macklin in the backfield because you want to get him into a matchup situation. That's a red zone package, and they get a matchup against Bruce Irvin that's favorable to them. You could see this coming the entire way. Bruce Irvin's a really good pass rusher. He's incredible against the rush, but defending in space, a guy with 1,300 yards and 10 touchdowns last year, and Macklin, tough to do for DBs. It'll be a challenge for a 260-pound linebacker like Irvin.
So the Chiefs get on the board first. Just inside 10 minutes here in the second quarter remaining. Here's Cairo Santos on for the extra point. And for those of you that didn't see football last week, they've officially moved the point after touchdown. The snap now from the 15-yard line, so it's the equivalent of about a 33-yard field goal attempt. And it hasn't made much of a difference so far in the preseason. That one goes through until Kansas City for the first touchdown of the ball game. They lead it 7-0 here in the second quarter. Alex Smith leading the Chiefs to the first touchdown of the ball game. A nice little 3-yard touchdown pass to his new wide receiver, Jeremy Maclin, who came over from the Philadelphia Eagles. A nice long drive as well.
Alex does well. He's a very good, as I said earlier, intermediate passer. You saw some accuracy in the third down game, a couple real good third down conversions, 3rd and 1, an outside breaking contain on the run, and that's the kind of drive when you play against an elite defense like Seattle. It's the very best in the game. You're going to have to earn it. They're not going to give you the big play. If you can put a 10, 12, 14 play together, multiple third down conversions, and you have earned that touchdown, and the Chiefs sure did.
Tyler Lockett back to take this one for the Seahawks. Back of the end zone, so we'll just take a knee on that one.
You look at some of those first quarter stats, and a few things jump out to you. Turbin, 4 carries, 4 yards. Now, this is a Seahawk team that relies on that Marshawn Lynch, that zone read, that early run game to start to open up things for the rest of that offense. And with lots of new moving pieces in different spots, that run game's been a little tough to get going last week, equally today. But if they're going to sustain a drive like the Chiefs just did, you've got to get a little bit more out of that phase of the game.
4th possession of the ball game for the Seahawks offense, and offensive coordinator Darrell Bevell told us he expects his starters to play maybe the entire first half tonight. Christine Michael in at tailback. First change we've seen on the Seahawk offense all night. He comes in to replace Robert Turbin and picks up 3 yards on his first carry.
There's a good little burst. There is no shortage of acceleration in Kristen Michael, and Derek Coleman leading there, running right into that pile. Does not look like much, but it's a 3-yard game, and striving for consistency. Every play, the attention to detail, critical for number 33 to start putting it together here in year number 3.
2 tight ends in for the Seahawks. Jimmy Graham and Luke Wilson, and Russell Wilson looking for Graham, who makes his first grab of the night. And the guy who came over in the offseason is maybe the biggest trade of the NFL offseason, picks up 6 yards on the play.
And that's a tandem you want to see get going, and Ron Parker in coverage. Kansas City committing a lot of people to stopping that run, so Jimmy Graham gets the one-on-one. He's shown for 5 years when he gets one-on-ones with that size, with that frame, especially against an undersized safety, that is pretty much automatic.
And those hands, did he catch the back half of the football on that? Needing a yard. Wilson from the shotgun. Kristen Michael gets it and more. Good run by Michael, showing that burst that he has once he broke through the offensive line. 13 yards on the run.
And a really nice job by Gary Gilliam on the right side. We talked about pass protection and where he would fit. Does a nice job of washing that play down. You see Justin Houston, that zone read action. He has got to account for Russell Wilson. And that burst by Michael, there has been no question about that. There's been very little question about Gilliam's want to in the run game, and that time the combination moves the chains on 3rd and 1.
Another run, Michael dancing, follows J.R. Sweezy on the offensive line this time, picks up 4, maybe 5 yards. And give me your assessment thus far of this offensive line for Seattle tonight.
Not bad, not bad. Work in progress, and it is going to be all preseason long, but you have not seen free runners. That was paramount for Tom Cable. In that pass protection, just get a hat on a hat so you don't have free blitzers. You've not seen that tonight. That was much better push. Nice job on the 3rd and 1. Those are both plays, 12 yards, 5 yards. Start to instill some confidence. Eat some of the chunks of real estate.
Here's another run by Michael, and didn't work that time. Stopped at the line of scrimmage, hit hard by Derek Johnson. No gain.
That was a good stick. You could hear it from up here.
Johnson checking out his own helmet after that.
Derek Johnson also in his 11th year with an Alex Smith played a lot of ball. He's 15 tackles away from 1,000, which would set the all-time record for the Kansas City Chiefs. Been immensely productive. This was the 2nd best scoring defense a year ago without him, as you referenced. The injury, the IR from game number 1. That's how you do it. That's how you make those collisions get heard even in the press box.
Seahawks with another third down. Needing to cross the 50. Wilson gets it out. Doug Baldwin reaching out. Looks like he got enough for the first down.
You know what you love to see here is just some of that continuity. You may not have it on your offensive line, but you absolutely have it between these two for 4 years. And Doug, just not a rub route, not a pick, but he is using his release, that inside release, letting Jermaine clear it out, and then he's got the patience to come right underneath, and Russell knows exactly where he's going to be.
First down in Chiefs territory. Off the play fake. Wilson. Jimmy Graham. And Graham picks up another Seattle first down, gain of 12 on the reception.
His first completion last week, very similar, just the naked concept on the play action. He caught it in the flat. This time he's got the over route coming. You will see this play a lot more this season than even a year ago for Seattle. Graham knows how to find that space. You know that Marshawn Lynch is going to attract the eyes and the attention when they run that play. And you can see Jimmy Graham, he's brought some intensity from day one on the practice field. Has not missed one snap, has not missed one practice. Nice job showing off his talents.
Justin Houston chasing Wilson, and Russell just kind of dumps that one out to kind of save being sacked.
Wilson's pass intended for Kristen Michael.
Justin Houston is good as anybody in the league, and on offense at tight end, Jimmy Graham is good. I mean, people forget the numbers that he put up down in New Orleans are numbers that really are unprecedented in the history. Now, we're in a bigger offensive era, but still unprecedented for a tight end in the National Football League's history.
Well, since 2011, the third best touchdown maker in the NFL. Second, Des Bryant. Number one, Marshawn Lynch.
He has been phenomenal. Michael bounces off the pile. Good second effort. Flags come flying late. That was a good job after initially being stopped by Michael.
You see the holding call from the umpire inside.
Holding. Offense. Number 88. 10-yard penalty. Still second down.
That's the other phase. It's had a lot of conversation, narrative nationally. Is Jimmy Graham going to block? You see him at the bottom of the screen. He gets his hands on Justin Houston, but the minute those umpires and those officials see that jersey tugged, that is going to draw the 10-yard penalty.
Yeah, Graham really was not asked.
No, he wasn't. No, and that's Pete's answer immediately when you ask Coach Carroll, is Jimmy Graham going to block? Yes, yes. Yeah, they asked him to be spread out and be a lot more of a receiver, potent receiver, but he is going to be involved in that phase of the game. Just got to get the hands inside on that blocking.
Wilson from the shotgun on second and long. Zips that one, caught. Jimmy Graham. This is the kind of drive that the Seahawks want to see out of this combination.
You see him just throw the ball at the side judge, too. I mean, he has intensity, and there was a lot of talking and chirping between Jimmy Graham when he was a New Orleans Saints and the Seattle Seahawks because they're wired the same way, and they have repped that play an awful lot. That is your seam route against Ron Parker on the other side. He's covered. A lot of tight ends, and frankly tight ends over the last couple of years, you're looking the other way because he is covered, but the good ones, the most talented ones, the difference makers, even when they're covered, they're not. You throw it to that back shoulder, big play, explosive play.
They pick up 21 yards on that gain. Here's Christian Michael fighting his way for a couple and loses the football. Was he down? That's the question. And the official signaled that he was down by contact. 3 yards on the gain, and this is kind of the biggest question mark about Michael. Can he be consistent? Can he hold on to the football?
Gain of 3 yards on the play.
And he was down indeed there.
He's clearly down. The elbow and the forearm are down. But even with that, Sherman Smith, these running back coaches in the league say, I don't care if you are ruled down. I don't want to see that ball out of your grasp.
Had a fumble last week in the preseason opener against Denver, and he gets stopped here at the line of scrimmage once again.
Christian Michael on the carry.
And this is a big training camp for Michael if you look at the depth chart at running back.
Tackled by D. Ford.
And they want to see it. They want to see it now in year number 3. You get a little grace your rookie year because a lot of guys, the light bulb doesn't come on in year 1. Year 2, some of that frustration or anxiety may grow a little bit. By year number 3, it's make or break time. Much like these 3rd and 7s can be, especially on the road. Keep an eye on Jimmy Graham to the bottom of your screen here.
Wilson goes that way through behind Doug Baldwin, who had a step on Marcus Peters.
And you can see Russell right there. He knows that Jimmy Graham underneath there, just a couple shallow crosses trying to rub off those defenders. And unfortunately, that ball behind Russell as you see a Chief down.
Yeah, D. Ford slow to get up. The #1 pick last year for the Kansas City Chiefs. So they're forced to take a timeout because of the injury. 2:56 left to go here before halftime. Steven Hauska lining up for the 39-yard kick, and everybody was waiting for the signal that it was okay to go ahead and start after the timeout.
Well, based on the punts we saw, this field goal may go over the net.
The altitude not really known to be high in Kansas City. Balls are booming tonight. You see his numbers last week against Denver in the preseason opener. So now the officials are set, everybody's set, and Hauska will try this one from 39 yards away. John Ryan gets it down cleanly, and Hauska gets it through. So the Seahawks on the board for the first time tonight. 7-3 here in Kansas City.
Pieces, 7 sacks a week ago. Pass protection been pretty good tonight. Watch Jimmy Graham on the top, Chip, Justin Houston, and Gilliam does his part, and then Chris DeMichael, he sends a knockout shot to the jaw of D. Ford right there. If the point of emphasis was to communicate, to get a hat on a hat, to help one another up front, you've really seen through that pass protection very few free runners. You've seen some of the intensity of Jimmy Graham come out in 30 minutes of play. It's what he's going to bring to the table as well, and unfortunately just could not be sharp on that 3rd down to get further into the red zone.
Back-to-back 14-play drives. Kansas City ends theirs with a touchdown. Seahawks end theirs with a field goal. And so just ahead of the 2-minute warning, Steven Hauska puts that one through for a touchback. And, you know, we talked about Jimmy Graham. A couple of years ago, he had 1,300 yards. A couple of years ago, he also had 16 touchdowns. I mean, we talk about the numbers he's put up and how you just don't see that out of a tight end.
Well, there's really no phase of the tight end game that he's limited in from a receiving standpoint. There's just some question because he hasn't been asked to and done enough in the blocking element. He can run vertically. He's willing to go over the middle. You see him in matchups with undersized safeties using and leveraging that 6'7", 260-pound frame. There's a reason he was Miami's all-time leading rebounder in basketball because he knows how to use that frame to his advantage, and nice to see him get involved this evening in the passing game.
And that's the thing. He's still learning football. Only played football his senior year at Miami, and now this is his 6th season in the NFL. Alex Smith lost one up. Sean Shedd was in there on the coverage against Frankie Hammond. Hammond had a step, but they just couldn't get the timing worked out.
And Shedd's done a nice job, and very, very capable here. He is much more of a natural, strong safety, but he gets up there showing some of the patience. Now, one of the things in the coaching point is going to be to do the best he can to stay on top of that route a little bit more, but holding his own through the first half.
Smith intercepted. Bobby Wagner. Space in front of him. The end zone now behind him. Touchdown, Seahawks.
Richard Sherman said to us on the broadcast a week ago, the game is slowing down. You saw earlier a 3rd down where Alex just gets it over the fingertips of Bobby Wagner. Not this time. He is reading Alex the entire time. He's not even looking at that route. The more football you play, you should be able to feel what's going on in your surroundings, and that's exactly through both the drop and the eyes of Alex Smith what Bobby Wagner does. And I told you earlier, there's not a faster middle linebacker in the game. Nobody's going to catch him from behind. That's the game.
Richard Sherman running there along with him.
That's the game slowing down. 2 of the best in the game, 2 all-pros, and they never get tired of making game-changing plays.
Here's Hauska for the extra point. And just like that, Seahawks put up 10 and grab the lead 10-7. Bobby Wagner gets the pick 6. You know, and that's something the Seahawks defense didn't have last year. 2 years ago, they had 28 interceptions, and people were raving about the turnover ratio, and rightfully so. Last year, only 13 picks.
And some of that is, I think, conservative at times of the opposing quarterback. Some of that was complete and inept quarterback play with the Sean Hills and the Ryan Lindleys down the stretch, just throwing the ball out of bounds or in the ground and being completely ineffective. But if you were going to throw into some of those tight windows, you better be spot on, and you better know, if you're Alex Smith, exactly where 54 is, exactly where KJ Wright is. You know, and Earl Thomas on the deep end, Keem Chancellor as well. They do it at the deeper level. Alex knows at the intermediate level, these linebackers, you lose track of your eyes, they're going to make you pay.
Wagner showing a little bit of speed. They're taking it 25 yards for the score, and the Seahawks have put up 10 points in 14 seconds, just like that.
And Kurt, you've had the pleasure of watching elite defenses, and you spend some time on a set every single Sunday with some guys that played on elite defenses. And every one of those guys, I'm sure, will tell you, the more you play together, especially in zone concepts, the more dominant you become.
And that's why it was so important to keep these defensive guys together. We talked about signing KJ Wright last December, and then Bobby Wagner, and before that they had locked up Earl Thomas and Richard Sherman for the long term. Cam Chancellor still out there. Hopefully one day for the Seahawks will show up in time for the regular season, but part of that is just trying to keep this unit together so that it continues to be special.
Yeah, it's those Tampa Bay defenses when you think about Derek Brooks and Hardy Nickerson and John Lynch and those guys, but they caught some of them at the tail end of their career. You're getting these guys in the absolute prime of their career, signed to long-term extensions. We referenced this a week ago, your 12 core players making $6 million or more, but all of them signed through 2017, 2019, not going anywhere.
And all 25, 26 years old. So you would assume, as long as they stay healthy, still lots of years ahead of them to play at an elite level. First down for the Chiefs, out of the backfield, Niall Davis. And Davis chased out from behind, Cliff Averill. Another one of those guys signed it the last year to kind of stick around, and he's got him on the older end of the scale, the 29 for this team.
No gain on the play.
He doesn't mind mixing it up either, chasing down that screen pass. Those screens better be very well timed, and you better get them when the Seahawks are not expecting them, because Chris Richard, we saw KJ with it earlier. That time even the rookie Ty Smith is breaking on that screen real quickly. Hard to confuse this group with the experience they're now gaining defensively.
2-minute warning here in Kansas City. A good ball game for preseason action. Week 2, 10-7. Seahawks on top.
Back here live at Arrowhead Stadium in Kansas City, where the Seahawks leading the Kansas City Chiefs 10-7 at the 2-minute warning. Aaron Levine alongside Dave Wyman. And Dave, defensively at least, this has been your kind of half. A nice showing by the linebackers led by Bobby Wagner.
Yeah, low scoring also. I love that. But Bobby Wagner jumping in front of that pass, and you see that's what this defense can do. They make such big plays, and he picked that one off and scored like it was intended for him, like he was a receiver on that play.
We'll have more highlights and analysis coming up at halftime, but for now, let's send it back up to the booth. Kurt, Brock.
All right, guys, you know, during that break, Brock Hewitt was pointing out to me that there was a time where Kansas City quarterbacks didn't throw picks like that.
Yeah, and pretty rare. I mean, Alex doesn't throw many. He's number 3 all time, actually, in a single season. You know who number 1 is, though. In Kansas City Chief history, the fewest interceptions in a single season went to?
Well, I know because you told me during the break.
That went to Damon Hewitt. That went to Damon Hewitt. In a year where he was second in the league in pass efficiency. Loved playing here. Did a wonderful job of taking care of the ball, and that's what Alex has largely done throughout his career as well.
So would that make him Peyton and you Cooper? What? Here's Alex Smith under pressure. Scrambles his way out to the 30-yard line.
Alex Smith, the ball carrier.
That's a poor man Manning reference that we talked about off the air. Is that what that was?
Saying, yeah, you know.
Yes. And Alex again showing some of his playmaking that he can do. He doesn't run like Russell, and he doesn't look to run nearly as much, but that pocket breaks down. He's more than capable.
Niall Davis dancing, gets the first down.
Miles Davis, the ball carrier.
1:27 left to go. Chiefs with 2 timeouts.
Tackled by Dion Bailey.
That's another 3-1 conversion. You've seen a couple of those. Davis picks up 5.
At the 34-yard line.
Those are a couple of those situational football elements that I know they're going to look at this tape and study critically of how to try to find a way in those 3rd and 1s, short yardage run game to get off the field if you're the Seahawks defensively.
Flags down. Another false start. So the Chiefs are going to give those 5 yards right back.
Illegal snap. Offense, number 61. 5-yard penalty. Still first down.
That's their rookie in the middle, their 2nd-round pick, Mitch Morse. A lot of folks really high on him coming out of the draft. Missouri Tiger, really athletic. He's kind of a Tom Cable guy. 6'6", can show versatility, play inside, play outside, and he's going to be the guy in the middle as a rookie of that Chief line.
Forced his way into the starting lineup. Here's Smith from the shotgun. Zips that one. James O'Shaughnessy. Flies come flying after the tackle. Stephen Terrell with the stop, but let's see what the penalty markers are for. What had been a fairly clean first half has kind of slowed down a little bit all of a sudden. See the referee Alex Kemp trying to figure out what happened.
Illegal contact. Defense, number 54. That penalty is declined. The resulting play is 2nd and short.
So it's called against Bobby Wagner. It's a good situation right here. This is a 2-minute football that, you know, Andy Reid, Alex Smith like. You like these chances to get that rhythm and tempo on your side. The Seahawks as well would sure like to find a way to limit any points here, any momentum going into halftime.
Kansas City takes it because they pick up 14 yards by declining the penalty, and right now yardage is more important than downs.
And we saw Irvin earlier in a matchup with David Macklin down in the red zone on the touchdown pass, but that time he's showing off to you the 260 pounds of real strength there, controlling that edge. That strong side linebacker doesn't get all the credit and all the appeal of Bobby Wagner and a KJ does in space, but look at Bruce do a nice job staying square. That's Donald Stevenson, 4-year player, flipping from right tackle to left tackle with the injury of Fisher. But Irvin showing you he is in the best shape of his career. In many ways a contract year for him. His option not picked up, and he knows it's all about productivity this season, be it sacks or just like that, in that run game, being stout and setting that edge. That's well done by Bruce. You watch him out of training camp, but nobody puts on an athletic show like he does. He will jump over the bags. He will show some bursts and some speed and some athleticism that made him the first round draft pick of the Hawks 4 years ago.
Yeah, remember he started his college career as a safety, worked his way all the way up the line. 3rd and short. The pitch to Niall Davis. Gets the first down, stays in bounds. Finally knocked out in Seahawk territory, but they move the chains and stop the clock with 39 seconds left.
That's now 3 3rd and 1s, and you play against the Seahawk group, and we saw their 14-play, 7-minute drive. What it takes to sustain a drive are those kind of conversions. And now the bigger, more physical back between he and Jamal Charles, getting some good run here in the first half, and Andy Reid's got to like what he sees out of that very critical element, that 3rd and short package. You have got to be able against the good teams to sustain drives, and Pete knows that that's going to be a good element to work through this week in practice.
After the 10-yard pickup, they're at Seattle's 47. Pressure. Smith escapes up the middle of the field, down to the 36-yard line. Credit Dion Bailey with the tackle, but another big chunk of yardage for Kansas City. 12 that time on the scramble.
Yeah, and Alex Smith felt that one. I mean, Dion Bailey is not 6'2", 235 like Cam Chancellor, but Dion Bailey was a collegiate linebacker at 6'2", 211. And we have seen him saw off some thigh pads. We saw it a week ago, and he is more than willing. And Alex did not get down early enough. That's something you said earlier about Russell Wilson. He gets out of bounds. You don't see him take hits like that, and it doesn't look like much until all of a sudden you bruise your scapula, and you can see him trying to shake that one off. He will feel that tomorrow.
Yeah, he's still trying to shake it off.
And he's probably saying to himself, I don't need to expose myself to that kind of contact. Those safeties are hunting me up.
Well, not only does it cause your quarterback a chance of getting hurt, but in a situation like this where you're trying to run a 2-minute drill, because he's a little tweaked, you have to call a timeout.
Yeah, then that's that. You know, you can bruise ribs, you can tear some cartilage in your ribs, and it's not the most vicious shot, but you're going down. You don't take a lot of contact. And the Deion Baileys of the world are looking to light you up.
And it forced Kansas City to use their last time out of the first half. Over the middle, Jason Avant with running room. There is a flag down deep in the secondary as Deion Bailey makes another tackle. We'll see what the marker's about. 15 yards on the play if it stands.
There are 2 fouls on the play. Pass interference. Offense, number 81. Holding, defense, number 26. Those penalties offset. Replay first down.
So basically a do-over. Does Alex Kemp look a little nervous to you?
He just said, get out of the range of my microphone. I'm trying to do my job. I'm a side judge elevated tonight, and I would like to be able to communicate to the fans. Here's your offensive pass interference, and you're going to see Avant matched up on Ty Smith. And
First and 10 from the 35.
does a nice job of pushing up. Call that little option route, the 10-year veteran. And he shakes free of Smith, but the contact there draws the penalty and carry on the other side. A little bit too much reaching and grabbing for the offsetting plays. Offsetting penalties.
So they go back to the 36-yard line, but they lose time on the clock. Here's Smith brought down. Second sack by the Seahawk defense tonight. Michael Bennett with that one. Brandon Mebane had one earlier. And there he gives his version of the role.
That's the ravishing Rick Rude right there.
And they just stop the clock with 6 seconds left.
That's one that Alex knows he's got to get rid of. That is such a critical sack in the final minute. Team has no timeouts, and we saw the roll earlier from Mebane, and that time just abusing. And you can see the clap of the hands there by the offensive lineman. That was Lawrence DuVernay Tardif, the youngster there. And Michael Bennett getting the better of him. He is such a technician. You talk about the use of hands on that defensive line, and no one does it better on this team than Michael Bennett. The reason he led this team in sacks last year was 7.5 plays just like that.
3-man rush, everybody else deep for the Seahawk defense. Smith scrambling. It'll be the final play, a Hail Mary up towards the end zone, swatted around, falls incomplete. And so that'll do it for the first half here in Kansas City. Chiefs got on the scoreboard first. Jeremy Maclin with a little 3-yard touchdown reception from Alex Smith. It took a 7-0 lead, but the Seahawks bounced back, put up 10 points in a matter of seconds. Steven Hauschka with a 39-yard field goal, and Bobby Wagner with a pick six for a 25-yard score, and that's how you get it. 10-7 at halftime.
In Kansas City, the Seahawks leading the Chiefs 10-7 at the half at Arrowhead Stadium. As we take a look at the stats from the first half, and Dave, we say it time and time again, it's all about the ball and the Seahawks capitalizing on the lone turnover in the first half.
Yep, and they're going to win whenever they win that turnover differential battle. So, yeah, not bad actually offensive numbers as well. You know, you'd like to see the rushing yards up a little bit there, but they got a good drive going, and you saw that in the highlights there, the pass to Jimmy Graham. That was nice to see one of those. So not bad overall, but it's one of these, you know, two really tough defensive teams, and they're going head-to-head, and that's why we got a 10-7 game.
Who are you excited to see in the second half?
Well, I would like to see some of these young guys really prove themselves. I know Ty Smith's going to continue to play. We'll probably see a little bit more of B.J. Daniels. And how about Kason Williams and Kevin Smith? Those two receivers, hopefully they'll be throwing the ball a little bit, and we'll figure out who those 5th and 6th receivers are going to be.
You mentioned the young cornerbacks, a couple new faces also. Keelan Johnson and Jeremy Creighton we may see in the second half as well. Let's send it back up to the booth and rejoin Kurt and Brock, guys.
All right, thanks a lot, guys. To review the first half real quick, you talked about it during the broadcast. The top 2 scoring defenses in the regular season last year, and the starters played for most of the half for both teams, and it looked like 2 defenses that don't give up a whole lot.
And you saw how hard it is to consistently move the ball. The Chiefs are pretty good on third down, and that's why they possessed it a little bit. That led to their touchdown, 5 of 8 on third down. And to pay off Dave Wyman there when he says, if they don't turn it over, they win that. They win 33-6 under Pete. 33-6 when they win the turnover battle. And then you compound that with the touchdown, the Wagner. I mean, the game-changing play, really tough to beat these guys.
10 quick points in 14 seconds for the Seahawks. So as we get ready for the second half, we expect to see a lot more of the young guys play as the starters played just about the entire first half. Anybody in particular that you're looking forward to seeing in this half?
Yeah, Dave referenced Ty Smith. I'd like to see some of these secondary guys continue to gain a little bit of comfort. Cassius Marsh, I'm going to keep a close eye on. Frank Clark, Tyler Lockett, and then Kevin Smith and Kason Williams, the 2 Huskies, the 2 local kids who have both had really good camps. Kevin had a couple catches last week, and they're fighting like mad for a practice squad spot, possibly a spot on the bottom end of this roster. You're going to see guys maybe not play as technically and fundamentally sound as we did in the first half, but you're going to see tremendous effort here in the final 30 minutes.
And to start the second half, Chris Connolly, rookie out of Georgia, brings it out of the end zone, out to the 15-yard line. Eric Pinkins with the tackle for the Seahawks, and here we go, third quarter.
Number 10,
the Seahawks
Chase
now on
Daniel.
defense. Chase Daniel leading things on offense for the Kansas City Chiefs. Young man now in his 7th season and played spectacularly last week in the preseason game against the Arizona Cardinals. Obviously, he's a backup facing backups, but 17 of 21 with 3 touchdown passes.
There's a good look at Cassius there. He's a guy that's all engine and motor, a lot like Michael Bennett. I'm looking forward to watching him here in the second half, inside and outside, try to win some of his one-on-one battles.
Officially from the 14. Daniel zips that one, caught by Hammond, and Frankie Hammond all the way out to the 35-yard line. Ronald Martin on the tackle, but only after a 21-yard pickup.
Chase Daniel is a really good backup. There's a reason they're paying him about $4 million for that role this year. 7th year already. He's never really had a chance behind Drew Brees in New Orleans. He's here. Alex Smith is the established franchise guy. But as far as backups go in this league and a comfort level the staff has in that position, Chase Daniel is one of the better ones in the league.
Nice gain on first down. Here on play action. Hammond again. Ty Smith can't grab him, but Kevin Pierre-Louis does. Going to be out near that first down marker. Maybe when they spot it, going to be a couple yards short, actually.
So Pierre-Louis getting some run with the number 1s. A little play action pass here. Play action to start the game on both of the snaps for Chase Daniel. And look at the ground that he closes in Pierre-Louis. That's a nice gain. It's a 7-yard gain. But Pierre-Louis about 230 pounds. Not your biggest weak side linebacker, but man, can he really move.
Movement before the snap. DeMarcus Dobbs jumped early. Was he drawn?
Neutral zone infraction, defense, number 95. That 5-yard penalty is enough for a first down.
That was on Dobbs.
You can tell by play calling a little bit at times how much comfort a coach has in a backup quarterback. You come out with back-to-back passes, and that time Chase Daniel is just trying to change the play there, and Dobbs sees the movement and gives the Chiefs first down by penalty.
Gets him out to the 48. A good field position here early on in the second half. Daniel to the sideline. Frankie Hammond again. This time Deshaun Shedd there to force him out of bounds, and there's a flag on the play as well.
That's in the backfield right around the quarterback position again.
Roughing the passer. Defense, number 75. 15-yard penalty. Automatic first down.
That one called on DeAnthony Smith, and the backups for the Seahawks a little anxious here, obviously, in the early going in this third quarter. We saw DeMarcus Dobbs jump early, and then D'Anthony Smith not be able to hold off.
Oh, I don't
Wow.
know. I don't know about that one.
It almost looked as though, and not trying to make excuses for Smith, but he kind of got a piece of Daniel when he was being taken down and just tried to hold on. Now at the Seahawk 30. Daniel off the play fake again, escapes and gets it out. Where? Down the sideline, inside the 10-yard line.
Spencer Ware.
What a catch and run for Spencer Ware.
Well, that's 4 plays for the Chiefs, 4 play action passes, and you see the backups, you said, a little bit anxious to make some plays here, a little bit of reaching and grabbing. You saw those starters fundamentally very sound in that first half. That's 2 missed tackles, missed tackle there by Scruggs. You see Mike Morgan unfortunately reaching here, and Daniel having the awareness of where everybody is on the field, and the former Seahawk doing his best to lower the boom.
28 yards. Frankie Hammond was a little slow getting up after that play, and thus the stop in action. But credit Spencer Ware, you talked about it, in camp with the Seahawks for a while, been here, knows these guys, and those are the guys that in these preseason contests you can see they have just a little bit extra. Yeah, just a little bit. Down to the 2-yard line. Trying to show the coaching staff they made a mistake in letting him go. Now Pete Carroll out to discuss things. He wants to challenge this play. Or it looked like he was going to.
He's challenging the ruling on the field, saying that the runner stepped out of bounds before he got to the 2-yard line.
And so once again, the Seahawks will challenge, not necessarily that he got a first down, but where the ball was spotted.
Pete won earlier, gained about 7.5 yards of real estate.
Here's a look. Did he step out? Looks clean so far. We'll let the officials take a look at it and take a timeout.
After review, the ruling on the field stands. Seattle is charged with their first timeout of the half, and they are out of challenges for the game. First down.
Pete Carroll doesn't agree, but it stands. Chase Daniel, little flip to Spencer Ware, and he goes down the left side and did get inside that 5-yard line.
And right there is where they're saying he stepped out of bounds, back at the 8-yard line, but the official review doesn't agree with it. So Seattle is out of challenges and gets a timeout taken away.
Chase Daniel only 4 incompletions last week, 17 out of 21, 3 touchdown passes. 4 is also going his way tonight. He's currently 4 out of 4 for 64 yards, and the Chiefs have first and goal from the 2-yard line. Now Davis met right there at the 2-yard line, the Seattle defense.
So when the Chiefs get into the end zone here, there's a traditional song that generally is played every time at Arrowhead when you get into the end zone. So Mark, talk to us a little bit about the change of the touchdown celebration song.
Yeah, we're famous for celebrating traditions, not changing traditions. But this one, unfortunately, the composer and artist who performed the song that we have played is in a maximum security prison in the UK for crimes against children. And so we as an organization decided that we didn't want to be associated with the song anymore, either directly or indirectly with a cover song. And, you know, the good news, if there is good news here, is that we open up to our fans. We're going to let the Chiefs Kingdom decide which song replaces that as we go forward here and start a new tradition. Our marketing team worked really hard, picked 3 songs which we think represent 3 different genres of music. And, you know, when you get into song discussions, we could have 1,000 songs out there, and our fans are already telling us. There you go.
James O'Shaughnessy, the rookie tight end. First touchdown as a Chief.
Chase Daniel picking up where he left off. So were you on that committee to select it down to 3 songs?
You know,
that would be
fortunately,
tough to narrow it down to 3.
Fortunately, I was not. We have some people who are much more versed in music than I am, and one of the reasons that we wanted to do it this game is that you really, you know, also there are a bunch of great songs, but it has to be the right kind of song to play in the stadium after a score. It has some cadence, it has fan interaction, and all 3 of these have that.
So how can the fans vote on it? Where do they go to vote on it?
So right now, we opened up the voting earlier today. If you go to Chiefs.com, and you will see all 3 of the songs overlaid over a touchdown, so you can actually get a feel for what it'll be like. And then you vote. And then the fans will help us decide which one we go with. We'll do it this game, we'll do it the next game, and the voting will go on, obviously, in between games. But after the next game, we'll tally all the votes, and then we'll roll the new song out for that Thursday night game against the Broncos.
So got 2 weeks to get your vote in. Now, how many times can people vote? If people like a certain, can they rattle off a bunch? Is this like American Idol? They got to get a bunch of votes? Or?
We learned a little bit from our friends across the street with the Royals and the All-Star voting.
Right. 38-yard extra point is good. So too was our time with Chiefs President Mark Donovan. Mark, thanks for spending time with us.
Thank you, guys. I appreciate it.
All right, Chiefs back on top. 11:53 left in the third quarter. Chase Daniel stays hot.
A nice drive to start this second half by the Kansas City Chiefs. 7 plays, very efficient, 86 yards in just over 3 minutes.
And basically all through the air there with Chase Daniel. Came out, started the second half, put the plan together at halftime, and knew that they were going to come out and throw it. And O'Shaughnessy, that's a position that's vital for Kansas City. They've had depth at that tight end position. Some guys have left town, and they need their youngsters to emerge.
B.J. Daniels back deep for the Seahawks. Mr. Everything scoops it up. Bounces it outside. And is finally wrapped up by Deron Brown. And Daniels is a guy, right now he's the emergency third-team quarterback after having been on the practice squad for a couple of years. But they're trying to convert him into a receiver and a return guy. But due to the injury to Tavares Jackson last week, he may be the guy should something happen to this guy, R.J. Archer.
And Archer's going to get a lot of opportunity. Jake Waters also signed this week out of Kansas State, but had very, very little action and very few reps. So more than likely, this is going to be RJ's show here in the second half, as much for this roster as it is for the rest of the league, to show, like Chase Daniel, that he can be comfortable when called upon.
Hands it off to Christian Michael, hit in the backfield. And Michael absolutely nowhere to go. Hebron Fanglupo with the stop. We're joined right now on the sideline by the guy who scored the touchdown for the Seahawks tonight, Bobby Wagner. Bobby, first of all, congratulations. I didn't know you still had that much speed this late in the preseason. I thought your legs were supposed to be tired.
Nah, man, I take good care of my legs, so we all good.
Talk about that play a little bit, because Brock was talking about it up here, just how it's almost like you weren't looking at it. You could sense it. You could read the play almost before it happened.
Yeah, I just got a feel for it. I was reading his eyes, and his eyes kind of took me to where the ball was at, and as soon as he threw it, I tried to break on it. There was one earlier that I should have picked off too, but he caught it, so I didn't want to let him do it again.
You know, I love to hear guys, Bobby, say that the game is slowing down. You'll hear Richard Sherman say that outside on the perimeter. What's that mean for you when the game slows down? What does that look like?
It means you get to see everything. You get to help your teammates out a little bit more, because you can tell them what you see, and it's made me a better leader, a better communicator.
You know, I commented a number of times in the first half how fast you guys were flowing tonight defensively. What did you feel with your team speed?
We were just out there. KJ was making a lot of plays on the screens and big time runs, man. KJ did a great job. We were just out there flying around and trying to get the ball back to the offense.
Will you talk a little bit just about your defense? And Chris Richard, people are still waiting to see, and obviously until the regular season we won't know for sure, but just the whole process of having a new guy calling the plays on defense for you.
It's just an adjustment like we have every year. You know, somebody comes in and, we got to get used to their style to play, but I think we got the personnel to kind of adapt to anything, and we just really out there having fun. There's a bunch of guys out there having fun playing with each other.
Always good to have fun when you can score as well, I'm sure.
Yeah, already.
All right. Thanks a lot for joining us, Bobby.
Appreciate it.
All right, good luck. Stay healthy this season. Bobby Wagner getting a chance to talk with us. Meanwhile, the Seahawks marching up the field a bit. Here's R.J. Archer. Completes that one to Kason Williams. And a former Husky out across the first down marker.
Well, a few things stand out here. Number one, Casey Williams is doing what he's done all preseason. That's when given the opportunity, he's going to catch it. Number two, R.J. Archer is getting the ball out of his hands. You can just feel the difference from last week to this week. The opportunity to get all the reps this week and share those with Russell Wilson, and 3 straight completions, an excellent third down to Kevin Norwood on that slant route, planting that back foot, knowing he was going to get hit. But R.J. imitating Chase Daniel on the other side, emulating him and getting a lot of productivity on this drive.
Little slip up there. It looked like Archer showing the wheels that he's got, picks up a couple yards on the scramble. He went one way, Kristen Michael went the other in the backfield.
And never good when Kristen Michael is talking to offensive linemen about which way that play was supposed to go. That was supposed to go left. You can tell by the flow of that entire offensive line that was an outside zone to the left. Kristen Michael misses that call, goes the opposite way, and instead of panicking, R.J. Archer does what a savvy young quarterback is supposed to do, make something out of nothing.
You can tell truly the difference between last week and this week for Archer. Throws that one out. B.J. Daniel with the catch. And for those of us, or those that were watching the broadcast last week, we talked a little bit about it. I mean, Archer's a guy who hasn't been in an NFL camp since 2011. Not just not played, hasn't even been with an NFL team since he's with the Lions back in 2011, playing in the Arena League since then.
And he's thrown for a ton of yards and touchdowns in that Arena League, but this is a completely different game, and valuable for him to have Russell this week, knowing that this is going to be his chance. There's going to be no T-Jack, and exuding a lot more confidence and comfort here on this drive.
Chiefs crowd makes noise on third down. Kristen Michael right up the gut. Good second effort. Looks like he got enough for the first down.
Also seeing Gary Gilliam stay in the game, some Alvin Bailey, Lemuel Jean-Pierre. You know, this group should be playing better than they did a week ago. Last week was a little bit of a fire drill on that offensive line, but you got some guys with some seasoning now. You got Alvin Bailey that's in that position of fighting and clawing and scratching to make sure that he's still relevant. Gilliam's getting that valuable opportunity, play a little right tackle, see some different personnel defensively. And Lemuel, I'm sure, a benefit to R.J. Archer right in the middle of that line.
Gilliam, the only starter still in the ball game, and you got to assume a lot of that's just because of his lack of experience at the position. Michael tried to leapfrog a couple of guys. I think he tripped over Luke Wilson on that play. He picks up 2 yards nonetheless.
We saw Gilliam earlier wash down the right side of that line, and you'll see him at the right tackle position next to Luke Wilson. He does his best there to get those pads down. He is a really good athlete. We saw him last night. He walked into the room at 6'5" and about 310 pounds. And they just didn't look like that. 300-pounders never used to look like that 10, 20, 30 years ago. Just an incredibly athletic man.
Here's Archer. With time, finds Tyler Lockett, and Lockett all the way down to the 5-yard line.
Pass complete to Tyler Lockett.
In this stadium, his father Kevin used to call home. He picks up 25 yards.
This is a very nice job by RJ. He knows right where he wants to go with it. That seam route and that sneaky little receiver. Those punt returners typically are good slot players because they have a feel for space. He gets behind the nickelback in front of the safety and nearly scores another touchdown in the preseason game.
Yeah, showed what he could do last week on special teams. Tonight getting an opportunity at wide receiver. First and goal. And the Chiefs players were screaming for movement on the offensive line.
Ball start. Offense, number 78. 5-yard penalty. First down.
And that was on Alvin Bailey.
Alvin Bailey falls a little bit into that Kristen Michael camp as well. As you've played enough football, you've been around the block long enough here. This is time for you to show up a little bit and to be equally consistent. He has enough talent to start in this league, but he's got to do it for Tom Cable and Darrell Bevel on every single snap.
Had a chance as the starter last week at left guard, and now coming in as a backup tonight. This one bobbled. B.J. Daniels can't handle it. And that will go down as the first incompletion for Archer on this drive on the night.
And that's the first real miss that we have seen as well. And you saw RJ clap his hands afterwards, thrown to the former quarterback. This is one you got to put right on his chest and give BJ the opportunity to turn and run. Probably a ball that BJ can catch, no doubt about it. But in that situation, that sprint right option you're trying to put on his outside shoulder, allow him to turn up and take on that defender instead of dip down. Unfortunate on both ends for the incompletion.
Robert Turbin back in the game at running back. Turbin, who we hadn't seen since early on in the first half, gets it down inside the 5-yard line. Josh Martin stopped him after a 7-yard pickup.
I'd love for this to be 4-down territory. I would love Pete Carroll, Tom Cable, or Tom Cable to say to Pete, hey, give me 2 downs here. I need to see Tukuafu. I need to see Bailey. I need to see these guys do what we do best. And that's get your pads down and move people. Glowinski, Jean-Pierre, Gilliam. And watch the big boy in the backfield, Tukuafu.
Number 46 at fullback. Robert Turbin tries to follow him but doesn't even get started. Mike Catapano with the stop for a loss.
Well, that changes things. No longer 4-down territory when you go 7 yards backwards. And that's some miscommunication there. You should never have an unblocked defensive tackle. That hat-on-a-hat concept of communicating who has got everybody, that is simply too easy. That was a critical error as far as some communication there, right where that run was going.
And a drive that started so well, 5 straight completions from R.J. Archer, stalled once he got inside the 10-yard line. The 27-yard field goal attempt from Stephen Hauska is good, and the Seahawks pulled him within a point.
The score, Chiefs 14, Seahawks 13.
So both the Chiefs and Seahawks come out and score on their opening drives of the second half. It's 14-13. 13-play drive, 61 yards, ends up in a field goal as the Seahawks pulled it within a point, putting up points on their opening drive of the second half, same as the Kansas City Chiefs did, except Kansas City got a touchdown. And so it's 14-13. Just over 4 minutes to go here in this third quarter. Kurt Menefee, Brock Heward with you from Arrowhead Stadium in Kansas City. Starters played for just about the entire first half for the Seahawks, and their only touchdown came on a defensive interception, returned for a score by Bobby Wagner. And both these defenses have looked pretty good tonight, particularly the starting units. Hauska's kick taken by Conley. Chris Conley, second round pick out of Georgia, tripped up.
Chris Conley on the return.
Alex Singleton, a guy who was signed just before the preseason opener last week, getting a full week of practice and taking advantage of it, showing what he can do here on special teams.
It's like a cleaner game, doesn't it? Last week felt like a first preseason game. Sacks and penalties, not much tempo and rhythm. This one feels like the kind of game with 2 good teams, 2 good defenses that are limiting the big explosive plays down the field and making both offenses work for their yardage.
Don't curse it now. There's still 4 minutes to go in the third quarter. Here's Charkandrick West, and he's met at the hole by Kevin Pierre-Louis. KPL has been everywhere tonight.
If it was Frank Clark still in the show defensively last week with 9 tackles for loss, it's got to be Kevin Pierre-Louis closing down space in the play-action game, and that's wheelhouse right there. That's what you want. That's what Dave Wyman salivates for, and for those moments when you're coming clean, you're scraping that hole, and you're meeting that back mano-a-mano, and you're finishing it for a 1-yard gain.
He has been the talk of camp on defense and showing it, getting a chance to play tonight. Swinging out of the backfield, Charkandrick West, and he is wrapped up immediately. Ty Zimmerman on the tackle. The Seahawks defense doing a nice job of tackling guys in the open field.
Yeah, much better job. The previous drive, a couple times, those players got out for some moving the sticks, but not this time. Much more sure tackling.
Let's get it down to the sideline where we're joined by starting wide receiver for the Seahawks, Doug Baldwin. First of all, thanks for joining us, Doug.
Of course, fellas. Thanks for having me.
All right, give me your assessment of the way things went for you and the starters in the first half.
little shaky. We got a lot to improve on, but of course it's preseason. We expect that. So a lot to work on, but excited about the process and the progress that we've seen.
You know, Doug, I was just talking about your feel for the game. Yeah, Bobby on. He was talking about it defensively, but just your feel for the timing and some of your concepts and the comfort level you have with number 3.
Yeah, I mean, it comes with practice. Chase Daniel, good for a Kansas City Chiefs. Yeah, it comes with practice, obviously, but the fact of the matter is that, you know, we've got such a great coaching staff. We've got such a great system. It's really easy. You just dissolve yourself in the system. You learn as much as you can, and you spend extra time with the quarterback, you know, and when you get that chemistry, it becomes easy. So, yeah, the feel for it is just basically just everything that the coaching staff and the players around me have been able, or have allowed me to do.
How about having the presence of number 88 on the field? What does Jimmy Graham do for you?
I mean, you guys saw it. That big third down catch he had down the seam, that was huge for us. And he's a big body that you just throw the ball up to him, he's going to go up and make the play somehow. So excited to have him on the field. Anxious to see what he's going to do for us in the red zone, though.
And Doug, you know what else stands out about Jimmy is how hard he has been practicing. He has not missed a snap nor a practice, and has that same practice intensity that you and Jermaine and Richard bring to the table as well.
Yeah, well, we challenged him when he first got here. I'm sure you guys heard of it. We talked a lot of trash to him about his blocking ability, and you know, it's different than New Orleans, but he took it to heart, you know, and he wanted to show us that he was dedicated to the Seattle Seahawks. And like you said, he's shown that, and he's a phenomenal blocker. He's a phenomenal practice player. He's a phenomenal player overall, and then obviously he's a great guy in the locker room because we all love him.
You know, time will tell whether or not this turns out to be the best receiving core you've had since you've been here, but it certainly looks to those of us on the outside like the deepest receiving core you've had since you've been here. Talk about the challenge that you present, especially to one another.
Yeah, I mean, the fact of the matter is that everybody's fighting for a job, fighting for an opportunity to come out here and play for the Seattle Seahawks. And, you know, it's great that we have such high competition, but also, I mean, like I said, somebody's, you know, job has got to be taken. So it's a good thing overall. And the guys that aren't here, they'll probably go off and get some jobs somewhere else because they are extremely talented. But, you know, for us, it's just, it makes it great for us because the receivers here, we kind of live by a different creed. You know, we talk about no job too little, no job too great. We all play special teams, and we're all playmakers on offense when the ball's thrown to us. So we take pride in that, and I'm excited about these young guys because everybody's been really tremendous throughout the course of camp.
All right, we appreciate it, Doug. I know you've been trying to watch the game on the big screen. We'll let you go back out and watch it on the field. Thanks a lot.
Yes, sir.
All right, that's Doug Baldwin. We'll be back right after this. Final 90 seconds, 92 seconds officially of the third quarter here in Kansas City. Chiefs on top of the Seahawks 14-13.
Seeing some of the depth there. Obum Gwacham, T.Y. McGill, some of those third stringers that played a little bit better last week and a little earlier run here in the third quarter of play.
There's also Jesse Williams, one of the great stories of the Seahawks camp, coming back less than 3 months after having a kidney removed due to cancer. Played last week, had a couple of tackles, now back in the ball game tonight. Under pressure, Daniel throws that one up, and it falls incomplete. Penalty flag on the play. Ronald Martin Jr. came in on the blitz and just...
Personal foul, roughing the passer. Defense, number 42. 15-yard penalty. Automatic
came in on the blitz and just hit him too hard.
And that's the third roughing the passer tonight. The first one on Bennett, I'll give to you. The second one, I think, was a miss. And that one looks like a pretty good shot, to be honest with you. I can't see if that right arm goes into the neck or the head. Anytime you spin the quarterback like that, you know there's some velocity coming with that. But these rookies are going to learn, once you go above the neck and shoulder pads at all in this league, they will protect the quarterback at all costs.
Yeah, and that first replay looked like it might have gotten him around the neck, and Martin makes up for it. Nice tackle in the open field. Dropped Fred Williams after the catch. He's going to lose 2 yards on that one.
He was a guy that Pete Carroll mentioned a week ago as we went into preseason game number 1 to say, hey, who are some of these young guys that have popped a little bit? Undrafted free agents have made this team year after year after year. And it wasn't long on that list before he mentioned the LSU Tiger. They played a lot of football at LSU, a school that has put out a lot of players in the secondary that have an understanding of how to play the game and, more importantly, how to finish tackles like that.
Nowhere to go for Charkandrick West. T.Y. McGill, another young undrafted player coming up big out of NC State.
Yeah, 4 tackles, quarterback hurry last week, and he's one of those guys that can get in the mix inside. He's low to the ground, 6 foot, nearly 300 pounds. And you've seen guys built like that within this scheme. But are just active enough. Always love guys, the agitators. Those guys that can penetrate on the defensive line, that can wreak a little bit of havoc. And the Bills made a statement now back-to-back weeks.
Another third down for the Chiefs. Third and long. Daniel. Over the middle, too high for O'Shaughnessy, who was open and had the yardage for the first down, but he couldn't complete it.
That's a good throw by Chase Daniel. That ball was out of his hands as O'Shaughnessy was coming out of his break. That rookie is going to learn in this league against cover guys, even backups. You better anticipate the ball out of break. Chase Daniel has it.
Yeah.
He just has that command. You watch Manziel last night, you watch E.J. Manuel, you watch young quarterbacks, and there's something about paying attention and playing behind guys that can really play for 7 years. And you can just see the anticipation, the overall command that Chase Daniel brings to the table.
In the final year of his contract here with Kansas City, and again, you think somebody might want to make a move for it. Penalty marker on the play, and that's a good punt by Colquitt. 5 seconds of hang time. Ball drops at the 1 yard line. Good for 46 if it stands. Obviously the end of the third quarter as well.
There are 2 fouls on the play, both by the kicking team. Ineligible downfield, kicking team. That penalty's declined. Holding, kicking team, number 53. That penalty is accepted. 10 yards, still 4th down.
I think that was an easy decision to make. Back him up 10 more yards and make him kick it again, because you can't do much better than pin him down to the 1 yard line, which is what the Chiefs had done to Seattle after that kick by Colquitt.
You see a little area here tonight. Lockett we saw with the huge explosive plays last week, over 200 return yards, but they're also for that position, it comes down to judgment. And when you have got as many reps as Tyler has through his years at Kansas State, a 4-year and 4-time All-American there, 4-year player, it's a little bit like those outfielders judging that ball, having a feel not just for the space when you run it, but also when that ball is going to sail. You made the right call earlier, the ball at the 20-yard line when it sailed into the end zone that time. Just an unbelievable punt, creating a divot at the 1 yard line.
That'll do it. End of the third quarter. Tyler Lockett going to have to check the wind going the other way as we get ready to start the fourth. Seahawks and Chiefs in a pretty good one here in this second preseason game. Start of the fourth quarter here in Kansas City. Chiefs on top of the Seahawks 14-13. Kurt Menefee, Brock Hewitt along with you. But it's been a pretty clean contest for preseason games so far. Dustin Colquitt ready to start off this quarter, punting it to Tyler Lockett, who was so sensational in the return game last week, hasn't had many opportunities tonight. Should get one here from the 4. Good job of chasing him down and making the tackle by Andrew East, the long snapper.
Lots of stories out on this field tonight, but I don't know how many preseason games have had stories like these two men.
Jesse Williams, Eric Berry for the Chiefs, and we talked earlier about Williams 3 months ago, actually about a week shy of 3 months, having a cancerous kidney removed. Eric Berry last year during the regular season diagnosed with Hodgkin's lymphoma when they found a cancerous mass in his chest. Missed the rest of the season and has now come back and played in the preseason.
An inspiration beyond football for both of them. You walk around this stadium pregame and you see an immense amount of number 29 all over the field, exactly as that sign says. It's one thing to inspire on a field with your talent. It's quite another to inspire with your journey and your perseverance and your toughness. Jesse tweeted post-game last week, that was more than a game. Just an incredible experience for him to share the love of his teammates and the fans.
And it's amazing the emotional attachment that the communities of each guy has had following them. People in Seattle really on the Jesse Williams bandwagon, and obviously going on here with Eric Berry in Kansas City. And really because Berry has been around a lot longer and it happened during the season, getting a lot of love from the entire NFL community, including Russell Wilson last year, who sent out his good well wishes.
Well, I mean, Barry, one of the most dynamic safeties in the game with everything he brings to the table. Jesse fighting for a roster spot, back-to-back years spent on the IR with banged-up knees, so it's not as if his journey in the NFL was easy before the diagnosis and everything he's been through over the last 3 months.
Yeah, two great stories to see playing here tonight. That's Thomas Rawls now in the ball game at running back. Rookie out of Central Michigan. Played his first 3 years at the University of Michigan. Graduated from there in 3 years and then went to Central Michigan.
Scored on the touchdown, the screen pass a week ago. Showed a little bit of burst. I like running through that initial arm tackle. You have got to run through tackles in this system. Krista Michael has shown some of his spin moves, some of his acceleration. Marshawn Lynch, obviously, and this is a guy who he tries to emulate, runs through those with sheer power. And based on the run game this evening in this fourth quarter, they're going to get it going. He's going to have to make some of his own blocks.
3rd and long. Archer. Rawls couldn't handle it. Had room in front of him. They had run the screenplay perfectly to pick up the first down, but Rawls looked like he might have been thinking about running before making the catch.
I think that's about as good as analysis as you can do on that's exactly what happens. And those running backs and receivers, you can feel all of that opening up around you. That's excellent timing. It was last week as well. And that's Sicoli, the guard there. He rips his defensive lineman. He's out in front of that play. Rawls knows that he's got enough green grass in front of him, but you got to do the most important thing first, and that's corral the catch.
Tyler Lockett, the return guy for the Seahawks. Tello Luckett, the return guy for Kansas City. And Luckett backed up inside his 40. Turns sideways, gets out to just shy of midfield. Douglas McNeil with the stop. Another good punt from John Ryan. 52 yards on that boot. Chiefs take over here in the fourth quarter. The 12 travel well, but for Seattle fans, there's no place like home. And if you want to experience the noise and energy this season at CenturyLink Field, a limited number of tickets are still available. So don't miss this opportunity to be a part of the action. Visit Seahawks.com/tickets to secure your seats today.
You had pointed out last week the expansion of the stadium, adding some extra seats in the south end of that end zone. A franchise best over 68,000. Watch that Green Bay Packer game, and by the time this team gets home in week number 3, they are going to be more than ready to pack the house once again.
Chiefs take over at midfield. Blitz picked up. Daniel gets that one out, and it's dropped. Pass intended for Ryan Taylor, the backup tight end.
You know, I said a week ago, Jesse Williams was as active as I can remember in his first couple years. Now, they were cut short with some of the knee injuries, and you see it once again. You see him, who's in the backfield. He's just bull rushing. I mean, he's not a guy that's going to give you all the moves, and he's certainly not going to give you the Michael Bennett ravishing Rick Rude. But he just drove his offensive lineman deep into Chase Daniel, never giving up. And his activity level, he says his knees feel better than ever, and it's paying off.
Here's Daniel pressured and brought down. Mike Morgan. Whew. 3rd sack of the night for the Seahawks.
And he teams up with Julius Wormsley as well. And we talked about reading and diagnosing. We showed KJ right earlier on that screen pass, and you can see him just no hesitation. Morgan's played a lot of ball as well. He's been a backup, a little like Chase Daniel has been a backup behind good players. Mike Morgan's been the same way.
Good special teams guy, but my God, how many linebackers do the Seahawks have that can play right now? The 3 starters, Pierre Lewis, Morgan. Here's Daniel. Over the middle. Again, Ryan had it. Ball knocked away. Brock Coyle separated Ryan Taylor from the football.
When the game slows down, you can have a better awareness of the game situation. And that time, Coyle on extra long, he's just dropping back in zone coverage, and he too is feeling where that tight end is going to sink. He tries to get to the sticks, and you'll see Coyle and that helmet come right in. Right, you see that often force fumbles. And that time it forces the incompletion and the punt. Well done by the Grizz.
Colquitt set to boot it. B.J. Daniel back deep. Short punt. And it takes a Seahawk bounce. So everything working in Seattle's favor there. Not exactly what Dustin Colquitt planned. Only 29 yards on the punt. So the Seahawks will take it over with good field position, down by 1. Well, you see those guys in uniform down on the sideline getting a chance to have some fun here in Kansas City tonight. But every time you see them, you're reminded of the sacrifices that so many men and women make in different types of uniforms for us around the country. And our hearts go out, condolences go out to the families of the 3 firefighters who lost their lives as part of the thousands that are fighting the wildfires out in the western part of the United States. 3 guys died in Washington State. And our thanks to the nearly 9,000 that are out there in Washington and California and Montana and all over the West fighting wildfires on our behalf. First down for the Seahawks for Sean Allen. Takes it out across the 40-yard line from R.J. Archer. 13-yard pickup.
And continuing to do so as well, Kurt. That's well said. The sacrifice and just the incredible level of perseverance and heart that they are showing and serving all of us. And it's been a very difficult summer, and they're continuing the good fight.
It is amazing. I was in New York living there during 9/11 and now living out west while they fight wildfires. And it's just amazing that you have people who go into those situations when they're trying to get everyone else out, willing to put their lives on the line. B.J. Daniels drops that one.
Archer's pass intended for B.J. Daniels.
That's a nice little stick on the other side by Steven Nelson. The Seahawks have a bunch of Oregon State Beavers on their defense. Zimmerman, unfortunately, we've not seen a lot of Ryan Murphy. He's been out. Obumkwachum's getting a little run, but Steven Nelson is a youngster as well. A draft pick by the Chiefs. Some Pac-12 influence on this roster. Peters as well. We saw earlier the Husky make a few plays, and that time nice closing speed from Nelson.
The 2nd and 10 for the Seahawks. Thomas Rawls. Nice step, good acceleration, and he fights his way all the way out right to midfield. And I was laughing because I was watching Pete Carroll on the sideline showing his enthusiasm about the effort of Rawls.
Well, he loves it, and there's no Marshawn Lynch's. Everybody says they want to emulate the Todd Gurley's and Melvin Ingrams and all those kids coming out. Who do you want to be? Who do you emulate? Yeah, Marshawn Lynch. You do it. But I will say this about Marshawn. A situation just like that, the legs don't stop, and then you watch the rest of those Seahawks come along. How many times have you seen Marshawn and those guys up front move the pile for 3, 4, 5, and it excites everybody, Pete Carroll and the rest of the sidelines.
Archer. Daniels goes up, makes the grab. Good for a first down. Nice job by Archer and Daniels. 5 yards on the reception.
And that's just the one-on-one there in the slot. And BJ knows the timing the quarterback wants. We saw Doug Baldwin run that exact same concept going the other way on 3rd down. He let that outside receiver clear it out. And BJ showing you the great hands most quarterbacks have.
They had to stop that. An official fell down as he was trying to get to his position, and so they blew the play dead before it was snapped.
That's that 8th official. That's that extra official.
When the ball was snapped, we'll replay first down.
And I think you've got to get to 8. You got to do it in the college game. Some of the different conferences are experimenting with it this year, but with the pace of play, especially at the college game, everything that's required, that extra umpire, you'll see him. He's
Sean
trying
Smith
to spot
on your
the ball.
left. Yeah, Sean Smith on your left, the umpire here. Watch him. Oh, he tripped over Thomas Rawls. That's what happened. Obviously, he wasn't ready, and Pete got a flag for doing that on the sideline last week. Rawls just gets the play stopped. R.J. Archer. Down the field, incomplete, intended for Kevin Norwood.
Archer's pass incomplete.
Penalty marker as well.
Yeah, you're going to see a hold on Allen there.
Holding, offense, number 82, 10-yard penalty, first down.
On the tight end, Luke Wilson.
Yeah, I think he gets the number wrong. I think that was Rashawn Allen right in front of him. You got to know where you are, and you are in full view of that official. See a little bit of the play action pass. He's trying, and you want to, as best you can, get your helmet outside of that defender. You control the point and containment. Instead, once you start reaching and grabbing, especially in the open field, you're going to get called for that.
That was on Allen, the 10th penalty of the night.
10 last week as well. Team that led the league in penalties and has led the league in penalties the last couple years. That's an absolute point and area of emphasis for this team.
So it makes it a 1st and 20. Archer trying to set up the screen, throws it sideways. Rod Smith. And that was one that almost better, maybe just throwing it out of bounds. And we've got an injured Seahawk down on the play as well.
It's going to be Kona Schwenke, converted defensive lineman from Notre Dame. Saw some injuries a week ago to Ars Jackson, Chris Matthews. Thankfully have avoided some of that this evening until Schwenke on the field.
We'll take a timeout. Obviously, this is never good. You see the cart being brought out on the field right now to help Kona Schwenke back to the locker room.
And unfortunately, that's a pretty significant lower leg or right knee injury as the play comes into him. You see Pete Carroll, Russell Wilson coming out on the field. Just unfortunately, one of those plays, those offensive linemen, they cannot control when that flow comes back into them. And Schwenke, one tough customer, as I said, one of those defensive linemen, one of 5 on this roster that played the defensive side of the ball collegiately, trying to make that transition as J.R. Sweezy has done so successfully. And he's a tough kid.
As you mentioned, Russell Wilson, Doug Baldwin, a couple of guys who are starters coming out here and wishing him luck. And, you know, one of the things that we talked with Kerry Williams, the new cornerback who came over during the offseason from Philly, he talked about when he came to visit the feeling of family that he saw here that he didn't see in a lot of other places he visited, and how important that was to him in making his decision. You see that from the Seahawks time and time again. R.J. Archer just runs out of bounds.
R.J. Archer, the ball carrier.
And you also saw that, as Kerry said, when you just watch these games, and sometimes your best selling is not necessarily just that visit, much like college and recruiting. A lot of times these coaches are going to tell you what you want to hear. The biggest selling point for Kerry Williams, some of these free agents, I'm sure for Jimmy Graham when he was traded, was, man, I've watched Pete Carroll's teams through the years. I know how much fun they have. We caught up with Chad Brown, the former Seahawk, 14 years in the NFL before the game. He's helping coach this camp. He's on an internship, and he said, man, in all my years, I have not seen the group have as much fun as this team does.
Winning makes it easy. Rod Smith. Full stiff arm, and he keeps going. Nice run by Smith, getting it into Kansas City territory. And here's a guy that really hadn't had much of a chance at Ohio State. Didn't even start. Played there 4 years, never started as a running back, averaged about 3 carries a game.
19-yard gain there. We saw earlier with Rawls moving the pile, Marshawn style, keeping those legs going. And you've seen that on a couple beast mode runs, that big old stiff arm. Get those defenders away from me. That time, Marcus Cooper of the Chiefs.
It'll bring up 4th and 4. Smith again. Hole shut. He tries to fight his way forward. Looks like he's going to be about 1.5 yards short of the first down.
The zone reads a little different when it's R.J. Archer running it versus Russell Wilson. You take a look at that and you just see the impact on defenders when number 3 is in the game. We saw it earlier with Justin Houston on one of Kristen Michaels' runs where he was able to get out a little bit. Those guys just have to freeze. When you've got someone like R.J. in the game, they don't have to account for that. And you see that just collapse around Rod Smith and unable to get the significant yardage necessary.
Yeah, and so the Seahawks will turn it over on downs. Kansas City takes it over to the 38-yard line. Aaron Murray, now in his 2nd year out of the University of Georgia, in at quarterback. Charkandrick West picks up a couple of yards. And, you know, it's almost like Murray's the back end of what we were talking about with the success that Chase Daniel has had as a backup. Kansas City, if they would want to consider trading him, have to be sure that Murray's good enough to be the backup to Smith.
Well, one of the other commonalities between these two programs, and we talked about it earlier with their defense and some of the talent, it's also John Dorsey, the GM here in Kansas City, like John Schneider on the other side in Seattle, have their roots in Green Bay. You see Doug Peterson, their offensive coordinator, obviously Andy Reid cut his teeth there initially. in Green Bay. That Ron Wolf system will tell you, draft, if you like that quarterback, doesn't matter what you have on your roster, and you have him late, like Aaron Murray on that board in the 4th or 5th round, find a way to draft him. That's what Green Bay did so successfully with the Ty Detmers and the Mark Brunells, and found value in trading them. And Chase Daniel, Aaron Murray, a couple really, I think, young, talented players in this league.
It is amazing to watch how similar they are. You talk about that Green Bay front office tree. John Dorsey was in the front office in Seattle for a while. John Schneider used to be in the front office here in Kansas City. I mean, it's just this interwoven web that goes all around the league with a lot of these successful teams. It's not just the coaching staffs that have coaching trees.
And a lot of them trying to emulate what Ted Thompson with Green Bay did and has done, and that's draft very well.
Murray looks like he may have gotten the Seahawks to jump at the hard count.
I've seen that a few times, and I remember Ron Wolf went into that Hall of Fame class this year, in fact, for what he helped and built and developed there in Green Bay.
Neutral zone infraction, defense, number 53. That 5-yard penalty is enough for a first down.
Tyrell Adams on the call, a rookie free agent out of the University of Georgia, which is where Murray played. And you had a chance to see Murray.
I did.
Back when he was in college, and a big-time prospect, but blew out his knee towards the end of his senior year. Still drafted in the 5th round.
And shattered all the records down there, and was highly productive for multiple seasons for Mark Richt down there. And a little bit like Chase Daniels. He's not the biggest quarterback. You know, he may not be prototypical why he was in that 4th round, but he's got a lot of game.
First down in Seahawks territory. Kendrick West through a hole and fights his way out across the 45-yard line. As we go down the sideline and talk with the guy who started at left guard tonight for the Seahawks after starting at right tackle all last year, Justin Britt. And obviously the question is, how do you feel you playing a new position tonight?
It was good. I like guard. Everything happens quicker, and I feel like I can use my power there.
It's been a while since you played, I believe, since your freshman year at Missouri. Is it like riding a bicycle where it comes right back to you?
I guess, offensive line, it's all about technique, and, I feel like I can take so many things I did at tackle at guard and just kind of shorten everything up because everything happens quicker off the ball. It's right now. So it was a little adjustment at first this week, but I think I did well.
Gary Gilliam was telling us last night, aim small, miss small. We've heard that with PGA golfers, Jordan Spieth in particular. Spieth, does that fit at guard as well and as much?
Sure. We got our spot that we're aiming at with our hands and, our set. We have a spot we don't want to go past. And so, sure, aim small, miss small, it makes sense, especially at tackle, that lives very deep in your life. But, at guard, you just kind of got to be strong and throw your hands as soon as you can.
How about the overall communication tonight? That was also one of the focal points I know from Tom this week, and in talking to him, is he just wanted you guys to feel comfortable, get a hat on a hat, and really communicate well. How did that play out in the first half?
It was good. The whole offensive line unit and, Russ, we kind of communicated better, and we had an emphasis on it being the first road game of the season and having the new guys in there on the offensive line. So I think we did well. Obviously, the crowd here isn't sold out, so it's a little quieter than, it was last year when we were here. But, I think we communicated well, and we really took a step forward.
We appreciate you taking the time to join us tonight. Stay healthy this season.
Yeah, thank you. Go Hawks.
All right. Wherever you play.
Oh, going Russell Wilson
right there.
Yeah,
go one in there at the end.
A little go Hawks at the end.
There's always time for one, right? 4th and 1, Charkandrick West. I don't think he got it. Tyrell Adams and Cassius Marsh may have stopped him before he got to that first down marker. It looks like it with the naked eye.
I'll tell you this, the one thing that jumps out to you, Cassius Marsh uses his hands incredibly well. He had a play running away from him on the other side where he did the same thing. And you could see him swim, you can see him active, and that's also a tremendous fill there. The rest of his buddies coming up around him and driving him back. Tyrell Adams once again getting low man wins. That initial surge, that initial push, we've talked about that in these 3rd and 4th and 1 situations. You often win that. You give your guys on the back end the opportunity to finish the deal.
You can see he is short. So after the Seahawks turn it over on downs, the Seahawks defense forces Kansas City to do the very same thing. Cassius Marsh in there with a Big stop on 4th down. Time for the 12s to gear up for the 2015 season. Find the largest selection of authentic Seahawks jerseys, caps, and merchandise for men, women, and kids at the Pro Shop. Visit any of the 4 Puget Sound Pro Shop locations today or Seahawks.com/Pro Shop to shop online.
I don't know where you find those Jake Waters shirts, but I kind of digging those.
Jake Waters just signed this week. Kansas State alum trying to get an opportunity to play, and only expected to play tonight in an emergency situation. Got just a little bit of practice time on Wednesday, and that was it. Here's R.J. Archer still in at quarterback to B.J. Daniels, and Daniels going to be out near the first down marker as that R.J. to B.J. connection hooks up again.
Not too often you see quarterbacks. You'll see him come out and play quarterback collegiately, right, and immediately make the transition to wide receiver. That's not the case with B.J. He's spent a couple years on practice squads with the Niners and here in Seattle. This is making the transition late, but man, does he look comfortable, just like Rawls does on that inside zone when he has got a gap, and he is going north and south.
He goes 12 yards that time. The Chief player still down. .420 left. That's James Michael Johnson, linebacker out of Nevada, and part of the little mix-up here is Thomas Rawls is forced to kind of go skyward to try and get over the pile.
But there is no hesitation at all within that run. I like the tempo here. You come out, 4-minute drive here, get the completion to BJ on first down, and you get up and you no huddle, and you catch Kansas City just watching a little bit. And if that opponent is watching and you're going full speed, you're going to win.
4:20 left. Seahawks down by 1. Good field position inside the 40-yard line, and R.J. Archer trying to lead the team, if not to the go-ahead score, but the winning score. Thomas Rawls caught in the backfield. Absolutely nowhere to run. As soon as he got handed that ball, he was stopped by Josh Martin, loss of a yard.
And the only real negative plays that you have seen today from Seattle and the real positive plays from Kansas City has been unblocked. And that was a focal point you just heard from Justin Britt. And right there, the rookie right tackle, Terry Poole, the 4th-round pick. And just a little bit of miscommunication there. Anytime you leave those edge defenders unblocked with their ears pinned back, you've got a collision in the backfield.
There were 3 guys in red jerseys waiting for him. Low snap. Archer gets it. Throws it up. Looking for Kevin Norwood. Incomplete. Norwood. They're hand fighting with Daje Olatoye. You try saying that 3 times. Norwood's a guy who showed well last week, and we talked a little bit about it. You know, got a chance to be in the offseason program fully this year, full training camp. And last year when he was drafted out of Alabama, nursing a foot injury, and did get to play in 9 games, but never really got up to full speed. 9 receptions on the season in those 9 games.
No sacks. You're in Hauschka's kicking range here.
Well, you said it. They didn't do it. Daniel Sorensen and Mike Catapano with a sack of R.J. Archer.
And that's one of those game management situations. If that's Russell Wilson, if that's Alex Smith, you've got the play action pass, and you have got to feel that edge rush right away. They're blitzing right into that. That is not easy to do. You're not looking to avoid or make a play, but you just got to do the best you can to salvage those 6 yards, throw it into the stands, and at least give Hauschka the opportunity. I saw Hauschka kick last week a 65-yard field goal. Now, it was a little downwind, and we've seen the ball sailing on some punts here. That's when you'd sure love to give your kicker the chance, especially here in the closing minutes, at least the opportunity to make the play.
This is 4th down, and right now it would be about a 63-yard attempt. And I know the ball's been flying tonight, but I don't know if you want to try one from this far out. Seahawks still have a timeout left. Yeah, they're bringing out John Ryan to punt instead. So we'll give it back to Kansas City and try and rely on the defense to get a stop and get them the ball back.
Chris Conley back deep for Kansas City.
So 3:09 left on the clock. Ryan set to kick it. And the Chiefs call a timeout.
Kansas City, they're second.
And some miscommunication when you get backups to backups to backups, especially in the special teams phase of it. These rosters are still expanded. Cuts won't come until after next week for both of these teams all across the league. You saw some miscommunication there as Kansas City had to take the timeout.
Keep in mind that Seahawks football is presented by Washington's Lottery and the Department of Imagination. Just imagine the possibilities.
Got a timeout. You got the 2-minute warning. This is the smart play when you're looking at 4th and extra long. John Ryan's job is to pin it as best he can, is inside that 10-yard line, as good a punter as he is in this league. You've got a rookie in Conley back here for 3rd-round pick out of Georgia. He's got to make a decision of what to do. And then ultimately, with the 2-minute warning, the timeout, you've got to do the best you can if you're Seattle defensively to keep him pinned down there.
Here's the punt from Ryan. Conley, wow. Whoa! Deciding to come out of his end zone. Talk about a rookie mistake. I mean, you're in the end zone, take a knee, you get the ball at the 20. Instead, he almost was tackled for safety, finally got it out, and only got out to the 3-yard line.
Yeah, that's a no-go. Collegiately, once that ball crosses the goal line, it's touchback, not in the NFL, and that is, I don't know if he lost track of where he was. Put your feet at the 10-yard line or the 5-yard line, but you cannot put your feet and catch that ball in the end zone. And he knows it. That's an embarrassing moment. The special teams coach not even looking at you.
Would have been more embarrassing had he not gotten out of the end zone.
Yeah, that's called a learning moment, to be nice.
Wow.
There's other things written on a grade sheet as well.
So the Chiefs pinned deep in their own territory at the 3-yard line. Trying to hold on to the lead with less than 3 minutes to go. Darren Reeves, penalty marker as well.
Darren Reeves, the ball carrier. There's the flag on the play.
The preliminary signal is holding against Kansas City.
Holding. Offense, number 89. Half the distance to the goal line. Still first down.
Richard Gordon, the tight end. And the Chiefs keep going backwards.
Trying to influence there with his fast pursuit, as you've seen from the Seahawks. That's that hand back play. So he's showing Aaron Murray to one side, trying to draw the attention the other. That is a no-go. The 5th-year player, Richard Gordon, with the penalty, really backed up. And this is where if you're Jesse Williams and you're those big fellas, man, you create chaos off the snap.
Inside the 2. Dancing again, Reeves trying to get back to the line of scrimmage. Seahawks just bottled it up.
Much better for Chris Richard. He's got to be proud of this effort. You've got 11 guys in your secondary that are not playing tonight. And he knew that front 7 had to play better. That front 7 was really good. Phenomenal, in fact. Stopping the run, making plays. Obviously, the touchdown, the interception. Game-changing kind of plays by Bobby Wagner, but really good effort. Deshaun Shedd held his own playing corner tonight. You know, a big part of the philosophy here, and Richard Sherman knows it, is you don't give up the big play. What did Kerry Williams say to us over and over and over again? What Pete Carroll says to him every day in stretch line. Stay over the top, stay over the top, stay on top, stay on top, stay on top.
Which means
everything in front of you, which means you're not just going to have to be, you got to fight some of your aggressiveness. Kerry and the other places he's been, in Tennessee, in Philadelphia, in Baltimore, maybe you stand on that line and you attack. And when you do that, you take a risk of that guy getting behind you and giving up those explosives. Pete Carroll's philosophy is bred in that Monty Kiffin back in the day. You make them earn every single yard.
Out of the backfield, Sarkandrick West gets around the corner. Keelan Johnson, who was just signed by the Seahawks this week, forces him out of bounds. Only after he picked up the first down, though.
That looked like a 50-50 call. Eric Pinkins wanted to hold. You can see him at the top of your screen. His job is containment. And you see right there, he is calling for it. That's Ryan Taylor, the tight end. A little bit of jersey tugging. But unfortunately for Pinkins, a converted safety, learning on the fly here at linebacker. You can't always play for that call. You got to keep that outside arm free. You got to keep containment. He doesn't in Kansas City. It's a critical first down and out of the shadow of their goal line.
Yeah, all the way out to the 14-yard line. A little breathing room. The clock continues, and they have a first down. I don't know if they got that ball snapped, though, before the play clock ran out.
Delay of game, offense, 5-yard penalty, first down.
I know you want to use every second possible at this time, but you have to snap it when there's at least one left. So again, they're backed up after a penalty.
Don't you just love how engaged these players are? You watch these preseason games. We referenced Kerry Williams and just the family environment and the ball that he's watched on TV. You have seen from beginning to end. Doug Baldwin really didn't want to talk to us because he wanted to watch that big screen. So engaged, so active with these youngsters getting their chance to play the Seahawk way.
Cassius Marsh stopping Charkandrick West. And, you know, we talked to Kerry Williams last night, who played his college ball up the road here in Topeka, Kansas at Washburn. Their nickname's the Ichabods.
Intimidating.
So you ask, what's the mascot look like for the Ichabods? He said a guy with glasses, books, and a top hat. I don't know if that's the guy you want to go down with.
About as intimidating as the Stanford tree, really. I'm just going to say it, Wyman.
I would take the tree over that because the tree can at least fall on you. Guy with glasses and his books. I don't know. Whatever works for you, right? 2-minute warning here in KC.
Seahawks football is brought to you by CenturyLink. CenturyLink is rolling out 1 gig internet. Visit CenturyLink.com to see if it's available in your area. Home team, home connection. Washington's Lottery and the Department of Imagination. Imagine the possibilities. Back here live at Arrowhead Stadium, the Seahawks trailing the Chiefs 14-13 at the 2-minute warning. Aaron Levine alongside Dave Wyman. And Dave, preseason or not, this is giving the coaching staff and the team a great opportunity to practice late game situations with the game on the line.
Yeah, and they had a little bit of that last week as well, and I think that they like having a close game because, like you said, the coaches, they're going through preseason too. Apparently so are the officials too, Aaron, by the way.
Yeah.
Is it too early to complain about officials?
I don't know. We have all season long. There you go. We'll have highlights, analysis, and reaction coming up after the break with more questionable analysis on the Stanford Cardinal tree. Let's go back up to the booth.
I'm surprised that Dave didn't jump at you on that one. Chiefs trying to get a first down so they can run out the clock. Charkandrick West couldn't get around the corner, but wisely stayed in bounds. Ronald Martin got the tackle.
And I'm guessing Wyman was wanting that holding call on Eric Pinkins, and it sure looked like one. These linebackers have played really well tonight. Once again, fast flow. Douglas McNeil doing the best he can, and his conversion from receiver to linebacker to corner misses the tackle. But this has been a much more aggressive effort, really, from beginning to end defensively. Stuffing the run. It was a bit of a problem against the Broncos last week. It's not been much of a challenge tonight.
Seahawks have just been more consistent on both sides of the football tonight. West again. Cuts it back up the middle. Going to bring up a 4th and long, and you would assume that the Seahawks will get the ball back here.
You're going to see B.J. Daniels out to return it. They're going to punt it with about 30 seconds to go, or take that time out with about 30 seconds to go.
B.J. Daniels back to
It'll be interesting to see what Daniels does, trying to convert from quarterback to wide receiver to special teams guy. We saw him have a couple of nice returns last week and a really good tackle on special teams as well.
You're going to see Reed take the time out here. And what stands out, Kurt, along those lines is just the comfort level. You see some of these players making transition. Right, you can watch a Douglas McNeil that's trying to get his feet underneath him and thinking so much. And you have not got that sense at all from BJ. He's played really fast as a receiver. He's done an excellent job being aggressive and decisive in his returns in the kickoff game. And you know what he's thinking right now. Man, if this ball is on a line at all, if I've got any room, I am going to take this thing and try to put us in position here with less than 30 seconds to get that game-winning field goal.
You know, Russell Wilson told us if you were picking teams on the playground, B.J. Daniels would be the first guy you would take because he's that kind of athlete. We've all seen him throughout our lives, that no matter where you put him, he's going to be able to try and do something special.
Yeah, that was a Dane Looker for me growing up. Played 8 years in the league, played for St. Louis with the Rams the majority of his career. Same guy. It didn't matter if it was basketball, racquetball, golf, as a receiver. Just tremendous hand-eye coordination, and for BJ, he's got a lot of strength. I mean, he is built in a pretty powerful way in that frame, and I know he's looking for any opportunity to return this.
Seahawks hoping he can get a return that puts them in position for a game-winning field goal. He is backed up after the kick from Dustin Colquitt, drops the football, scoops it up, and is brought down from behind. So the Chiefs get exactly what they want. 62-yard kick from Dustin Colquitt, nothing on the return as DJ Alexander stops BJ Daniels before he can get rolling.
And we saw Rawls on the third down on the screen pass, a very similar deal. You know that they just want to get it going. He knows that he wants to get the play started, but you first have to obviously secure that catch. Rawls couldn't on the screen pass, cost him in that time, unfortunately, probably 10, 12 yards of real estate.
First and 10 Seahawks from
with
the
the fumble
Seattle
punt.
22-yard
No timeouts left, 16 seconds on the clock. Ball's at the 22. R.J. Archer in trouble. Doesn't get out of it.
Nick Williams on the sack.
Nick Williams with the sack. Only the second sack all night for the Kansas City Chiefs. And they came on the final 2 drives when the Seahawks were trying to get in position to go ahead and win this ball game. So Kansas City hangs on. They get the victory here in preseason game number 2, 14-13. Good play by both teams, really, particularly the defenses. The Seahawks saw a lot more consistency. Bobby Wagner with an interception for a touchdown tonight. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I think really clean, Kurt. You reference that here at the end of the game. Not perfect. There were some missed passes, and I know Russell's going to want a couple of those back. But taking care of the football, that was a priority. Communicating up front for Pete. Seeing that line of scrimmage look more like the Seahawk way of the last few years, and it really did. Guys played tremendously hard, but just an inability to finish the last couple games with a lot of youngsters in positions they've never been in, and more than likely won't be in a regular season for this team.
Russell Wilson played the entire first half. R.J. Archer played the entire second half for the Seahawks, and Jimmy Graham got a little bit more involved in the offense.
Nice to see that, wasn't it? You saw last week just with the one play action pass out in the flat. Today you see a little more of the versatility. You see him over the middle. You see him on a seam route. You didn't see 11 guys in the back end of that secondary, so quite a statement that with 11 guys out, some guys picked up right off the street. Keelan Johnson, in fact, that played significant minutes, still hold this Chief team to just really 2 drives, 2 possessions where they score touchdowns.
Well, one guy we saw a lot of tonight, the linebacker Kevin Pierre-Louis, who joins us down on the field right now. And the guy they call KPL for obvious reasons. First of all, thanks for joining us. We appreciate it on the way to the locker room. Just give us your assessment of your play, because my goodness, you were everywhere.
Thank you guys for having me. It was great to get back out here with my brothers, play Seahawks football. Personally, I think I did well running to the ball. I wasn't as physical as I would like to have been. But, I mean, it's first preseason game coming back from the injury last year. It's time to go over corrections, and that's all we practice. I'm going to make sure I keep working on my craft and make sure I bring that physicality next game.
Tell me exactly what you mean when you say you weren't as physical as you would like to have been.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think I brought my legs on tackling. I missed one tackle. But, I mean, those are easy things to correct. Just I keep practicing. I can get to the ball. I know that for a fact. So now I got to bring something else to the game.
How about your linebacker room? Not a bad night, Bobby. The pick 6, KJ Wright reading and diagnosing and flying everywhere. Your room was pretty active tonight.
I mean, you got to commend those guys. KJ, Bobby, Bruce, they lead us. They set the bar for the rest of the linebackers. And we're just trying to get the coaching points from them, play to their caliber. Bobby showed why he's one of the best linebackers. Bruce and KJ, they show why they're some of the best linebacking core in the league. So, it's great to be able to get coaching points from
How
them.
do you take the next step? How do you gain even more trust and more time on this field with as good as that group is?
Just keep buying into the program. Coach Carroll, he promotes, just being a part of the team. What's next? Who's next? Keep practicing each day. The way we practice, it's hard to not compete. So, just keep buying into the program, do what I need to do each day, day in, day out, and everything will follow in its place.
When do you start thinking about next week, that third preseason game? A lot of people consider it the dress rehearsal.
We're going to go over the corrections, tomorrow. And then we're going to put this game behind us. And after tomorrow, we'll think about next week. And I'm definitely excited to go down there, get blessed to have another opportunity to play football and keep working on my craft.
We appreciate you joining us again tonight. Good luck. Stay healthy this season.
All right, thank you. Go Hawks.
All right, then. Hey, everybody's doing it now.
Whoa.
It's been passed around.
I mean, we got to finish the broadcast with a little Go Hawks.
And I tell you what, that Kevin Pierre-Louis, the way he played tonight, and really the way all the linebackers played this evening. You mentioned K.J. Wright. Bobby Wagner had the interception for the touchdown. Pierre-Louis was everywhere, all over the field. This is a group that you talk about that room. There's not a guy there that you go, okay, when he's on the field, we have to worry.
No, and the key is, and you hear this said all the time, is repetition. There is no substitute for experience. And when you are not the most complex scheme, and the Seahawks are not defensively, it allows you the opportunity to continue to see plays in front of you. You continue to rep those same concepts, so it allows you to play just uber fast. And that's what you really saw out of this linebacker crew. Everybody. Brock Coyle, a nice play on third down. Kevin Pierre-Louis all over the field. KJ and Bobby setting the tone. Bruce Irvin setting the edge. And that linebacker room led by Michael Barrow, a new face, very productive tonight.
It's a group, and really this whole defense, we talked with Chris Richard, the first-year defensive coordinator, and everybody's wondering how things will differ between the way Gus Bradley did it, and then down to Dan Quinn, and now Chris Richard. And he goes, well, you're just going to have to wait and see. We're going to be pretty vanilla and pretty plain throughout the preseason, as they should be. But when you can be vanilla and plain and play that well, it really makes you wonder, wow, what's going to happen come regular season?
That's right, and the elite defenses, and you've seen this through your years, and you think about Tampa Bay and Baltimore and the Chicago Bears, what were they? They were great at every level. There is just no weakness. You can't game plan and say, you know what, if I can get this guy on an island, or you know what, I can get this position group on the field, I feel good about our plan. With the way this defensive line is playing, and hopefully the rotation with these young guys that they want, with a secondary that trusts and knows each other so well, and a linebacker crew that is so dynamic, there's not a phase of this defense that if I'm an offensive coordinator or I'm a quarterback under center that I feel good about attacking.
Switch it to the offense for me. We went into this game wondering about the offensive line. 3 guys starting at different positions than they played last week, or didn't even start, some of them. Your assessment of the way they performed tonight?
I thought solid in pass protection. I think you're seeing with young guys, and that's a Garrett Gilliam, that's a Drew Nowak, that's Justin Britt, who we talked to during the game, taking that next step between, okay, I know my assignment, and now let me go out there and really just pull the trigger. I like to use that term, but you see it with veteran guys. You saw with all that defensive members we talked about. Tonight I thought they played, okay, I'm a hat on a hat. I'm doing my job, but is it exemplary? Am I making an impactful block? I think the run game numbers show you that there's still very much a work in progress, but compared to last week, eliminating the sacks, eliminating the negative plays, allowing a little bit of rhythm and tempo, much, much better.
And then next week is the game that everyone loves to watch in the preseason. The third game of the preseason will happen down in San Diego, where the Seahawks will travel down there to take on the San Diego Chargers, another AFC West foe. That'll be on national television. We will see you again 2 weeks from yesterday. The Oakland Raiders come visiting CenturyLink Field. So try and enjoy your week off.
Is it time to say it? I mean, when are we going to say it? Go Hawks?
This is it.
This is it right here?
Well, you can say it.
No, we have to say it.
You can say it. 1, 2, 3. I have to be impartial. I have a national TV job during the rest of the season that I don't want to lose, okay? Give me a little break.
Go Hawks.
All right, there you go.
Take her, go Hawks.
Seahawks fall 14-13. The postgame show continues with Aaron and Dave right after this.